That's why I hate the only thing. Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new Let's Play called Minotaur Hotel with your host, Fallenwolf. Oh! This is the one thing about doing streams. I have to turn off I have to mute the mic. I have to mute the mic beforehand so that you don't hear me while I'm setting things up in the background. But anyway, this is a brand new Let's Play that's been drawn to my attention for the past few weeks. I was going to play it earlier, but then I was told that an update was coming very soon. So after I heard there's an update coming up, I was told I might as well wait, and I was like, I might as well wait till version 0.03 or 0.3 or whatever you want to call it came out. I'm excited to play this though. I have played a little bit beforehand, which is fine. I don't mind playing a little beforehand. I didn't play enough to really ruin anything for myself. So, with that being said, I'm gonna be probably streaming for about 2 to 3 hours, so just giving a heads up to everybody. If you have to leave, I understand, life happens, you know, you guys have to leave. And also just let you know, hopefully I don't pass out. My room is pretty much like a heat conductor. Heat comes in, but heat does not come out. And I have to turn the fan off so you don't hear me while I'm doing that. And the air conditioner is currently not working. So if I start sweating, don't worry. It's just that it's very hot and humid out here. But anyway, I'm excited to play this. I really am. This is something new. The concept itself sounded good, and I'm more than excited. I'm more than eager to give this video a try. I was going to put a link to the Patreon, but apparently this video does not have a Patreon, which is surprising. Because what the little screenshots I've seen over the past few weeks, it looks really good. So, yeah, spread word of mouth. If you like what you see, spread word of mouth. Let people know about this. But we're gonna start a new game. Turn on safe for work mode. I am not gonna turn on safe for work mode. I am hoping that there will be no nudity. I do have a bar ready just in case, but for now we're gonna say no. Prologue, the deed. Later on, if I'm worried about it, I'll turn it on. I'm sure I can turn on the settings, but right now, we'll say no. You don't remember much about that night. Your travels had taken you far from home. You were halfway dead after all the nights tossing and turning under unfamiliar ceilings. It was 3 a.m. and it felt as if you hadn't slept in a proper bed for at least 2 nights. You were pulling all the spirit you had left to keep you going, grinding your mind to dust. But it would soon be over. You were so close to home. Just one more bus ride, one long enough for a good night's sleep. Until then, however, you had to keep yourself awake. You got up and set out to explore the station. The whole place was a sorry state. It didn't have much, and what little it had was poorly maintained. I was warned. Alright, fine. You know what? Just to be safe. Oh, wait, can I not turn it on now? Oh, no, you can't turn it on after you start? Alright, we'll turn it on, because that's a little worrisome. That's a little worrisome. Let's save real quick, though. Oh, that's a little worrisome. I don't like when somebody says you've been warned with the safe for work, so we'll turn on safe for work. Because the last thing I need is just to get canceled, so... Oh, wait, I have to start a new game to do... Okay, we'll turn on safe. The only reason I am doing this is because YouTube has been a pain in the ass lately. Extracurricular activities, I was actually originally going to play that until I was reminded of Minotaur Hotel today. No, you're fine. No, you're fine. You're fine. I don't mind starting a new game. But y'all know I've been having a lot of issues with YouTube lately, posting videos and streams. Well, no, streams. Videos have been fine. Streams have been the issue. Posting streams with NSFW content, even heavily censored, it doesn't matter. They've been taking down the streams. So I don't want that to happen to this, so we're gonna be safe. If you really are really are interested in the scenes, download the game yourself. I hate being that person, but download the VN yourself, play it. Alright, we're gonna skip to where I was at. I think I was here. Also, I would recommend downloading it anyway. I'm loving the music. That was one thing I was noticing I was just playing this. The music, it's not really music per se, but it's like an ominous feel. It's got that ominous mystery feel. It just like it draws you in, and I like that. Until then, however, you had to keep yourself awake. You got up and set out to explore the station. The whole place was a sorry state. It didn't have much, and what little it had was poorly maintained. The bathroom was an atrocious mess. The lobby's floor was stained with age. The asphalt on the terminals was cracking. Even so, it had been built to last, decorated with brutal Obesidon pillars cut right out of the earth itself, and marble tiles polished into labyrinth patterns. The walls were lined with statues in a grotesque style, their exaggerated expressions locked in wide-eyed screams. The ceiling was covered with, latticed reproductions of paintings, Michelangelo's The Creation of Adam, and a bit up ahead, Picasso's Grenacea, I think so. The lobby seemed to extend forever onwards, lined on either side by rows of closed-down stores. The elevator music playing from some unseen speaker was enough of a distraction to keep you going. This is elevator music? This doesn't sound like elevator music to me. This sounds like music that this is like music you'd hear in like a thriller movie, like a horror thriller movie. A sudden crackling of static broke the song. You had found your way into a bar, populated solely by an old radio and an even older gentleman. His skin was paper thin. He held a cup of coffee, and every time he sipped from it, his shaking hands would spill half the contents. The old man's glazed gaze passed over you a few dozen times before he realized you were there. Also, is the audio okay for everybody? Lately, my past few videos, I've noticed there's been a lot of echo. I'm trying to stand a little bit further from the mic to try to help with that. I do have some padding around me to help reduce the sound. I know it's not perfect, but it's the best I can do right now. Hopefully in the future, eventually, maybe when I move to a new place, I do plan to have an exclusive audio room, especially for me wanting to get into like little small voice acting roles and whatnot. So, as he looked at you, he patted the stool beside him. What, the music? You know, I didn't think about it like that. It does, I guess, kind of sound futuristic. I don't know, I just get this ominous feel. As he looked at you, he patted the stool beside him and shook his hand in your direction. He poured a cup for you. You sit, hunched over the counter, and take a sip. A breeze of life pours over your face. You can't even register what it tastes like. You just know right then and there that you are alive and wide awake. You look to your side, to the old man. His face is contorted into some form of distress, lips quivering as his eyes dart to and fro. He puts a hand over each of his pockets, face still locked in fear, until his right hand falls over his breast pocket. He breathes a sigh of relief and looks at you. He starts talking, but not in a language you understand. He's not even looking at you. His gaze wanders around with seemingly no goal, but eventually he finds a thread you can follow. You seem like a traveler type. You remind me of... He hesitates, glances around, mulls over his words. Yes, you remind me of myself in my younger days. He looks ahead and takes a sip of his drink. You catch a glimmer in his eyes, a sudden wakefulness. I was a fool, never settled down, and squandered my one chance at a proper life. Felt the road would always take me in. I know, thank you, Phantom Bull. It really is. It's like this is the kind of music. Actually, I need something similar to this for my VN. I'm not gonna spoil anything, but this would really work for the prologue during one scene. Ended up throwing away the one place I could call a home. It's been rotting for who knows how long, and now I'm old. Always wondered if someone would ever take over and treat it right. Now you do remind me of myself, but I wasn't a good man. Hopefully you don't have the mean streak I had. Well... Alright, everyone. I try my best, or I'm figuring things out. I'm gonna ask the audience for their opinion. I try my best, or... You know. Which one are we gonna go with? I will give us about a minute, because I want to keep going with this. I do plan on playing as far as I can. I'm not sure if I'm going to get all the way to the end, but I would like to get pretty far with this. I'm liking what I see, so I'm more than willing to see what happens. Alright, another 45 seconds. Should we go with choice 1 for type 1 for I try my best, and try type 2 for I'm figuring things out. Me personally, it probably would be number 2, but you know, this is for everyone. Oh, okay. Thank you, thank you so much for that, Nanoff. I really appreciate that. Okay, so we got one for number 2. About another 30 seconds, I'm going to keep going. Also, this time, I'm going to let the audience decide what the main character's name's going to be. I'm very curious to see what people think the name should be. We're going to do something where I pretty much... Okay, so we got 2 for 2, 1 for 1. About another 15 seconds or so. Oh, we got 2 for 1 and 2 for 2. 10 seconds. And then if not, I'll do the tiebreaker. Alright, so like I said, type 2 for choice 2, type 1 for choice 1. We have about another 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 0. Okay. Alright, so we are tied. So I'm going to do the breaking vote, and we're gonna go for number 2. I'm gonna say 2. I'm gonna do based off of my life. So we'll say number 2. Wouldn't say I'm a great person or anything, but I suppose I'm finding my way. Is that so? I suppose that's as good as it gets. Oh, well, Unknown House said 2 anyway, so that would have worked out. At least nowadays you can try. Back in my day, my father treated me like dirt and no one batted an eye. I saw that happen a lot, too. I wasn't the only one. It made beasts out of my siblings and I, having a father like that. But don't you think I'm blaming him? You can only point the finger at your dad for so long, eh? At least eventually I found a way to make a living. How about you, young man? Have you found a calling? Ooh, we have... Uh-oh. I have heard this game has some interesting elements. Okay, so we actually can choose a background. I'm going to read them all off first, and then we'll figure out which one I'm going to do. Humanities. You are better at crafting contracts and can get additional options from them. You are also good at handling bureaucratic situations. I enjoy the social and human sciences. Leader. You are charismatic and a good meditator in conflicts. You were able to make some choices that are fixed for other backgrounds. Everyone always took me for a leader. Arts. You have vast knowledge of literature, arts, and architecture. You can make renovations to the hotel that bring in additional guests. I found my calling in the arts. Tech. You are knowledgeable about computer systems and engineering. You can lend additional help in tech R&D projects. I do have a thing with technology. Math. You are analytical and thorough. You have access to additional information that leads to better team management and optimization. I'm very talented with maths. And speedrunner. You get additional loot from exploration and may turn a danger event to your advantage. Good for second playthroughs. I speedrun games for a living. Alright, so the fact that speedrunner says it's good for second playthroughs, we're not going to have that be an option. I'm going to ask, once again, I'm going to ask my lovely, beautiful Fallen Pack, what do you think I should choose? This will change the story a bit. Oh boy, oh no. Oh, this is making, wow, already. We already get a choice that's going to affect the game. Alright. We're gonna ignore speedrunner. If speedrunner says good for second playthrough, so I'm gonna leave that alone. I'm gonna still ask the audience, which choice do you think I should go for? 1 for humanities, 2 for leader, 3 for arts, 4 for tech, and 5 for math. I'm gonna give us a little longer for this one. Okay, so I already got 1 for math. I would appreciate if, you know, you could type, if you have to, because this is a lot, just type in which one. Just type in humanities, leader, arts, tech, or math. I guess 1 through 3. This is hard. Like I said, don't be worried. I mean, I'm sure it affects the game, what I'm being told. But I wouldn't worry about it too much. We're just here to have fun. Like I said, more than welcome to download. I put the info below. Feel free to download it yourself and play. Okay, so we have 1 for leader, and I got 1 for math right now. Like, don't stress out too much. I mean, I'm a little worried, but at the same time, I'm a little excited. Because this is kind of interesting to see in the beginning of a visual novel. We're still in the prologue. So. And like I said, I'm going to give us a little longer for this one to make this choice. Not too long, though. If push comes to shove and it seems like we're not really getting anywhere, I'll make the choice myself. Oh, see, this is getting good. Okay, so we have 1 for art, 1 for... Nope. 1 for art... 1 for leader. No, wait. Oh, gosh, I'm getting confused. Sorry. Yeah, 1 for leader, 1 for math, and 1 for arts. Okay, so we got 2 for arts now. Oh, we got 1 for humanities. Okay, all right, guys. All right, guys and girls. We're getting somewhere now. Okay, so we got 1 for humanities, 1 for leader, and 2 for arts, and 1 for math. I'm surprised nobody chose tech. I'm a little surprised. Not that I mind. Like I said, I obviously have the choice I would make, but again, Akira, I've been doing okay. Had a little issues last week. I have a video, the stream's still up actually. It was called venting. But I'm doing a lot better. I'm trying to, I'm relaxing myself and letting myself do what I would enjoy. Cause at the end of the day, oh, don't, weirdo, don't do that to me. All right, fine. So now we have 2 for humanities, 1 for leader, and 2 for arts. Oh boy, wait. So now we got 2 for humanities, 2 for leader, and 2 for arts. Oh boy. So we're tied right now. We are tied right now between humanities, leader, and arts. But I've been doing all right. At the end of the day, I just like making these videos for videos and doing these streams for everyone here. I really, every day, I really hope you all enjoy what I do. At the end of the day, I don't do this to get paid. I do this just for fun and hopefully share some good VNs that I think of. Because creators deserve our respect. No, you're fine. You're fine, weirdo. You can keep what you did. You're okay. All right, so we need a tiebreaker. I'm gonna give us another minute. Oh, 3 for humanities, 2 for leader, 2 for arts. I'm gonna give us another minute to see if we can do a tiebreaker. Well, right now the tiebreaker's broken, but I'm gonna give us another minute in case somebody decides to make another choice. So 1 minute left, and if not, we're going with humanities. And humanities says it's better at crafting contract and getting additional options. So pretty much it's good for bureaucratic stuff, situations, which will be really interesting to see how that works. I do know the main premise of this visual novel is you're running a hotel. Granted, a hotel that has supernatural creatures, but a hotel nonetheless. But while I'm waiting, how's everyone doing today? I hope everyone's doing all right. I know it's a little hot out. I know it's humid where I'm at. Summer came with a vengeance. I like summer, but at the same time, I hate being sticky and hot. So there's that. But like I said, since the last video I posted venting, I've been doing a lot better. I'm trying. There's stuff I need to work on, and it will be stuff that I work on. Oof, I was wrong. No, you're fine, Unknown How. It just happened, I think, shortly before you said it. But like I said, I'm doing a lot better. I want to make these videos. I'm going to keep making these videos for everyone here. I love making these VNs. I love meeting new people. I love all the people I've met since I've started doing YouTube more on a regular basis. And I hope to be here for a long time, and I hope to continue to work on writing and art. For making another choice. All right, I'm gonna give another 10 seconds, and then if not, humanities is the winner. Humanities has 3. I don't have AC either right now. I live in an apartment complex, and they decide when they turn the AC on. I wish we controlled it ourselves, but we don't. And they still have not. I think they have a certain time during the year where they turn it on, and it's still not on. And I can't blow the fan during videos, or you're not gonna be able to hear me. It's gonna be annoying. So I'm not sweating quite yet, but it's slick. I'm starting to get a little, warm. Yeah, I don't like the humidity of summer. I don't mind heat if there's a nice cool breeze blowing. Pretty much like a beach. But I don't like humidity. I don't mind heat. And this year, I think I'm going to do a little more, because every year I say I'm going to do summer and I don't. This year, I planned on going to Anthrocon, and Anthrocon got canceled, and I wanted to cry, because the one year I finally decided, at 26, over 10 years I've been in the fandom, and I decided I'm going to go to a convention. They're like, oh, so it's been canceled. I'm like, that's the closest one towards me, and I don't have a car, so yeah, I can't really just drive any con. I think all the cons will be canceled, though. Alright, so humanities is the winner. So humanities is I enjoy the social and human sciences, which is something I personally do, but I enjoy a lot of these. Well, no, I think except math. Math, I don't think I'd be good for, and leader is iffy. Leader, I think I have good ideas, but I don't know if I'd actually be a good leader. Usually humanities, arts, or tech would be something that would probably be for me in real life. Alright, so we're gonna go with I enjoy. Good, very good. A man of the words. I only had the privilege of learning how to write late in my life. The old man rambles in the same language from before. Sometimes he'll stop and stare at you as if expecting a response. A nod or a grunt is enough to get him going again. Yeah, I do love beaches, but you're right. Because when you're on a beach, like, that sun is beaming on you. And especially, like, my beach, you have, like, the wooden pier. And, man, that heat just shimmering off of that wood, it's hot. My feet are burning. Everything's hot. But I do think this year, if stuff opens up before the summer, I would like to go to some events with some people. I also am debating on trying to start meeting. I want to do some furry meets, actually. I live in New Jersey. I don't know why. It seems like it's really hard to find people in New Jersey for furry meets, but I really would like to do that. Along with other stuff, of course. His voice becomes graver and deeper as the night goes on. It is soothing, in a way, even if at times he'll again allude to having a rough, sorrowful past. Eventually he stops and his gaze seems to shine with lucidity once more. I must say, I am terribly sorry. I'm afraid I never asked for your name. Another choice. Alright, so I'm gonna let people either... Alright, here's what we can do. Either I can just put my real name, Mark. I can just put my first real name, which is Mark. Or I could do a thing where I close my eyes, count to 10, and whoever says hi, whoever is the last person to say hi, at the moment I open my eyes, I will use their name. So which one would you like to see me do? Would you like to see me use my actual name, or would you like to see me choose somebody from the audience? Weirdo. I guess you could say that you hate the sand. It's coarse and gets everywhere, doesn't it? That was my attempt at a meme. Though I'm not sure how well it really went, but that was my attempt at a meme. Count to 10. Sand. Yeah, it does. I completely agree. I will give both of you that. Sand does suck. I used to go to the beach, not a beach, but it was like kind of like a beach thing all the time when I was younger. And when I got done, I was just washing all of that sand with such a pain in the butt and like scrubbing the stuff off. All right, so count to 10. Okay, so I say just go with Mark. One person said just go with Mark. Two people said go with audience. One person says go with Mark. Okay. I don't know, because I kind of want to go with my name, but I also feel like I want to give you guys a little more interaction. Would you hate me if I do just go with my real name? Would you not immediately unsubscribe to me and leave and never return if I use my first name? Because I don't want you guys to leave. That is a reference to Star Wars, episode 2. I'm not really a Star Wars fan. Weirdly enough, I'm not a Star Wars fan for the trilogies. I'm a Star Wars fan with the extended lore stuff. I love the extended lore stuff. I just don't like the actual lore itself. I mean, the original trilogy is okay. It's not bad, but the rest of them... Alright, we're gonna go with my real name. Again, if you guys would like to actually use your name, just download it. I would highly recommend it. Okay. We're using my real name. I'm glad I met you, Mark. The old man's eyes become glazed again, and his hand starts shaking. Coffee spills everywhere, but it's gone cold already. You seem like a well-traveled man. Oh, traveling when I was young was so difficult. Now you could be on the other side of the globe in a day or two. Oh, how the world has changed. There was this one time I talked to my brother just about this topic. Back home, there was this vineyard where we spent so many summers, eating and drinking. I remember it so well, it's like a moving picture. And you know what he told me? That's when we were young, there was so much wonder and magic around us. It's true, we could walk down the road, a stony little thing from Roman times, and when we were children once or twice every week, we'd see ghosts rising from cairns and crosses to mingle about. But things have changed so much. Akira, I know! Do you know how many times I get that reference told to me? Oh, hi, Mark. But things have changed so much. I think it's the technology. Spirits in the arcane don't mix well with it. Maybe it's something in the eyes. My brother, he used to say it's because mankind lacks purity nowadays. The unknown is not as frightful either. So much mystery has been lost, and so the bridge with the fantastical broke down. Can I just say I really love the writing right now. It's because it's above like the average reading. it's above like the average reading skill, but it has just enough like bigger words, bigger and more complex words that make it sound better, and I like that. See, with me, I know how to use a lot of big words, but when I write, I use such basic English, and I feel so bad, because I just feel bad about it. The old man freezes for a moment, then looks back to you. Oh, I was rambling again, wasn't I? Wait, was I? I'm so sorry. Don't worry about it, that's interesting to hear. I've seen something supernatural too, or science explains a lot. Oh yeah, I've seen him play after class. I've seen the video of him playing after class. I'm not gonna ask you guys this one. I'm gonna say supernatural because I know this is a supernatural VN. So why not ask the supernatural? I've seen a thing or two which I can't see science ever explaining. The world is a more mystery place than we like to think. Also, speaking of, in all seriousness, what do you guys think about supernatural stuff? Do you really think there is still stuff out there that we will... Do you really think there is stuff out there that we will never be able to fully explain? Or do you feel like everything will be explained with science in due time? Me personally, and I respect anyone, me personally, I do believe there is some stuff in the world we will never fully comprehend. I do feel there are such things as supernatural things. I don't know if I believe exactly in ghosts exactly as we are told about them, among other things. But me personally, I do believe there are such things like supernatural and fantastical things out there. It's just that we have not seen them yet. And I'm just curious what you guys think. It's fine if you don't believe in that kind of stuff. It's fine if you believe everything can be explained with science. I respect that. I have no issue with that. Just kind of curious. The world is a more mysterious place than we like to think. Perhaps fantastical things aren't as common, but they manage to slip by the cracks every once in a while. Anyone who travels as much as I did will eventually stumble into something of this sort. Or perhaps the supernatural is still out there, speaking in whispers instead of speaking plainly. Whispers? You are quite a sensitive young man. There's humility in sensing how much there is out there, yet to be learned. Perhaps? Yes, you seem good. Special. Perhaps you will do. Here, I'd like you to have this. I'm sure you'll take better care of it than I did. The old man takes an old piece of paper from his breast pocket and extends it to you. The deed for the place I told you about, the one I squandered. I'm old, tired. I would like someone to have it. I've been looking for an heir for a while now, and I don't quite feel like I have any more time to waste. Just take it. It's yours. A grandiose place, a hotel. Time's taken a toll, but you will love it. Just please take care of it. Be good. Give him a purpose. You raise an eyebrow at him. Did this old man try to give you a hotel just like that? Now, who would do that? His wandering gaze betrays his senility. At times he seems outright confused, as if he didn't know how he got here in the first place. You can't take it. It wouldn't be right to take advantage of someone like him. And that's assuming that piece of paper is a deed. It might just be a used napkin with a nice seal. The old man's gaze wanders around. With his hand still extended, he squints his eyes at you, then looks down to the paper. He struggles to put his thoughts together. But for a brief moment, his expression grows firm and lucid. And Akira, that's perfectly fine. So you believe mostly that even supernatural stuff can be explained with science, and that's perfectly fine. I don't feel like there's necessarily a right or wrong answer. Like I said, I have my beliefs, but I would never ever say like that it's concrete. Like I could be completely wrong. Like we could find out supernatural stuff, be like, oh well, this is science, it's proven with science, and I'd be like, okay, I was wrong. I think that's perfectly fine. You must think I'm crazy, but please understand, this is my last chance to do it right. Just take the deed. The old man offers you a deed for a property. Do you accept? I want to accept because he seems like despite him coming in and out of ludicity. I'm sorry, I can't say these words. Oh yeah, I remember Phantom Bull. I remember. Well, no. Actually, remember. I don't know if anybody remembers the first movie from the 90s. Zombie Island? Zombie Island proved in the Scooby-Doo universe that supernatural creatures exist. And there's been a few that prove that supernatural creatures rejected? Oh no! Okay, what does everybody else think? Should we accept the deed or reject it? Oh, I was about to say, I was like, reject it? But, in the Scooby-Doo universe, supernatural creatures actually do exist. Also, the really old and silly, like, 70s and 80s movies would take the D. Ew! Not with him! No! Ew! No. Alright, I'm gonna accept. First, I'm gonna save. We're gonna actually save. We'll probably be smart. Oh, we should have saved. Wait. I should have saved. Oh, crap. I should have saved. Oh, wow. I should have saved before I made the choice. Everybody say to accept it. Like, accept it. Alright. We'll accept it. Alright. We're gonna accept the choice. Oh, I got some in my eye. You give in to the old man's pleas. You're just accepting a piece of paper. After all, it's probably nothing, and if indeed is something important, you could try returning it. You obtain the old deed. To check your items, open the menu and go to the items subscreen. I really want to know how this VN was made. I really need to learn more of the VN stuff. Like, don't get me... There's like a hair in my eye. Like, don't get me wrong, my VN that I'm working on doesn't really have anything much other than choices. There's not, like, no fancy, like, you know, like, stats and stuff. But I really am curious about, like, how people do that. Like, it's stuff I'm gonna learn over time, I suppose. Oh, items. Oh! An old deed given to you by an old man. Despite its age, the wax seal is recent. Oh, okay. This old piece of parchment looks unimaginably ancient. Older than you, that's for sure. But the wax one, it seems reasonably new, perhaps even fresh. You break open the seal and examine the paper's contents. It's gibberish, written in an alphabet you've never seen before. Well, it would seem like this was all for nothing. You stick the deed in your jacket's pocket. You look back up to the old man. The corners of his mouth wrinkle, and he shakes ever so slightly. But his joy is short-lived. His gaze wanders once again. Ew, yeah, I know what you're talking about, weirdo. I know what you're talking about with the fungus that... Oh, yeah, I've seen some stuff that's... Yeah. When his focus returns to you, he furrows his brow, taking in each of your features one at a time. The old man mumbles something to himself, takes a sip of his coffee, and smiles. You are a very kind young man, Mark. Oh, well, thank you, old man, and you're a very kind old man, because I don't know your name. He does remember your name, at least. You check your wristwatch, and the numbers, too, have turned into gibberish. You take it you spent too long here. You collect your luggage, say your farewell to the old man, and thank him for the wonderful coffee. He subtly bows to you. No, Mark, it is I who ought to be grateful. It was a pleasure dealing with you. I don't know, I'm a little worried, because he seemed... Not necessarily, he's, like, I understand, like, seeing somebody nice and giving them something, but he seemed far, I don't know, part of me thinks there's some regret that's going on, is why he gave the deed, but part of me is like, I wonder if it's almost like a curse, I wonder if almost like the deed was a curse to him, where he's like, I have to give this to somebody, or I'm stuck with it. You leave the cafe and make your way to the bus terminal. The station is deserted, save for a single man smoking a cigarette outside the cafe. You greet him with a nod, and he responds in kind. Aside from the old man, he is the only person you find, but maybe that ought to be expected at this time of night. You make your way through the empty station. There's no one to greet you at the boarding platform. The bus is so dark you can barely make out the driver's silhouette. As soon as you sit down and recline, you try to process the night's events, but your thoughts skitter away. It's so hard to say for sure exactly how long you've been traveling. All the airports, truck stops, train stations, and ports mixed together. The restlessness of unending travel is the only constant. Oh boy. I'll see. Oh boy. I'm a little worried about that. Because I can tell this VN seems like there's a lot more mystery going on than I give it credit for. It doesn't take long for you to give up. A merciful warmth seeps from your chest as you fall asleep. Chapter 1, The Hotel. It's interesting to see this is split into chapters. I wonder how many chapters there are so far for this. A few days later, the horizon spirals across the stained windshield. The radio's tune is disintegrating into static. The AC can't keep with the sun's heat on the car's roof. The desert stretches on the entire horizon ahead, a wasteland of flat, yellowed plains. To the right, about 100 meters from the road, the dusty soil gives way to a sharp cliff. A valley peeks out beneath it, stretching to the blue horizon. You check the deed again. You couldn't read it at first. Maybe you were too tired. But now, the once gibberish characters make some sense to your brain. It's like reading a language that had branched off from your native tongue a few centuries prior. It is just alien enough to be unrecognizable at first. Oh, hello, Sam. It's been so long. I missed you, Sam. We should talk more. You guys, I always tell you, don't be afraid to ever talk to me. Like, I'm a little shy, but I'm a really nice guy. I love talking to people. And it doesn't have to be about visual novels. It can be about anything furry related or non-furry related. I'm a nice guy. The chapters are double digits. Oh boy. So we probably definitely won't get caught up all the way with this today. But hopefully in about 2-3 streams. I'm gonna do streams for these. However, when you squint hard enough, you find that the characters remind you of your alphabet. And then the words' meanings pop in your mind. It's unsettling, in a way. It feels as if your brain is shifting from inside out the more you look into it. But try as you might, it's hard to acknowledge this discomfort. It melts away at the blink of an eye. You squint at the deed. Just an hour or so ago, you had checked it and realized how close you were to the address. And so, you got into your car and set out, with a newfound curiosity and a nagging anxiety fighting it out in your chest. Maybe the old man really had given you something of value after all, not a worthless scrap paper. Could it really be? You got a deed from a senile man in a cafe? Sure, not many would complain about getting something for free like that, but at the same time, most would argue it feels wrong. The hotel should just be further ahead. You turn on the engine and set off again. Oh, hello, Lord Beerus. Alright, everyone. Act cool. Lord Beerus is here. Act natural. If he asks you to have some pudding, give him the damn pudding. Do not fight about the pudding. Just give him the pudding. We all here are trying to have a good time, and the last thing we need is our planet to get destroyed, alright? So, like I said, anything Lord Beerus wants, just give it to him. I don't want any trouble here. I may be all powerful, but I'm not that powerful. Also, Lord Beers, I'd be interested to hear about your VN if you, I don't know how you feel about using Discord. If you ever want to send me a message on Discord or my Twitter, I have links down below. I also recently started using Telegram again. Telegram I had like over a year ago, but I ended up uninstalling it because he had a stash of drugs. I wished, you know what, that would be a funny joke ending. I almost kind of wish that was a joke ending. I mean, this is not nowhere close to being done, I'm sure, but that would be hilarious. Like, at the very end, you find out that, like, his drugs went bad, and, like, all the stuff you thought you saw, like, creatures and stuff, was just your imagination, and really, it was just he wanted you to get his drugs for him. That's funny. It pops up on the horizon just 5 minutes later. A while later, you pull into its gravel parking lot. It's like looking back in time at what must have been one of the greater hotels of the 30s and 40s. It's built entirely out of marble in the Art Deco style. Ooh, I love Art Deco style! Ooh, I love Art Deco style so much. Oh, I love Art Deco. Art Deco and 80s style, I find I have a fascination with. It's majestic, grandiose even, but utterly ruined by age and made eerie by its surroundings. Who thought building such an incredible place in a desert would be a good idea? You look to the infinite horizon behind you. There is nothing aside from the hotel. No plants of any kind, no cacti, brush, or even dead trees. Only a hotel in the middle of a desert, built on top of the cliff's wall. No animals either. The sky is blue, without a cloud or bird of prey in sight. The ground beneath you has no bugs, not even a scorpion or spider. There were no other cars on the road either. You look back to your car's panel. The odometer indicates you've only driven about 4 miles. Your car's hood is cool to the touch, as if it had been off for hours. You look back to the hotel as you think about all these details. Something catches your eye, however. A porch overlooking the valley beneath the hotel. The valley stretches to the cloudless horizon, framed to the right and left by more cliffs. Looking down to the bottom, you can make out the outline of a dry riverbed stretching out. Oh, I love BioShock. I didn't even think about BioShock. BioShock is one of my favorite series. I love the style of that game. I mean, second one's iffy, but honestly, I don't know why. I really like Infinite. Infinite is my favorite one. I guess just because of like the themes it has. Actually, the themes it has now are actually good to really look into with our current political environment. At least for America. You notice there's a cave opening in the cliff wall, right below the hotel. Its exit is lined with statues, the details of which you can't make out at this distance. Right outside, there are rocky tiles spreading out in pathways. You'd wager a guess it made for a labyrinth of sorts when the river still flowed. The maze ends with a single pathway leading to a high mount, which would have easily stood as an island in the middle of a flooded valley. Oh no, Jin! Lightning just struck. Stay safe, please. Hopefully hopefully the power doesn't go out or anything. This region's terrain is much like the hotel. We need some of that rain and lightning over here. No, not my area. I mean the VN, because this desert looks very dry and humid. Really? You found Infinite very disappointing? Was it the gameplay-wise, story-wise, or both? For me, the gameplay was very disappointing. Because the gameplay, I felt like, was exactly the same as every other first-person shooter. I personally like the themes and some of the story ideas, though. Especially in DLC, I liked how it kind of wrapped things up to a degree. This region's terrain is much like the hotel. It may have been beautiful a long time ago. Now it's eaten away by time. That actually was a series I was debating on playing for this channel, all of the BioShock, because I have the whole collection I bought like a few months ago for Steam. Your reflection is broken as a more pressing matter sneaks up on you. The heat. Regardless of the weirdness around you, there's no escaping the sweltering sun. You walk to the entrance. The doors are unlocked. It's hard to tell for how long this place has been abandoned. The building itself surely is old. The exterior is severely decayed. It wouldn't be surprising if the interior is teeming with wild animals, rotten walls, and fallen pieces of ceiling. But instead it's just dusty? Humid and stagnant too. The walls are water damaged and there's a lot of mold. However, it's not as bad as one would think. I would play the DLC because the DLC does fix some issues people have with the main story. One of the biggest issues, not going to go heavily into it, but to anybody that hasn't played Infinite, there's a character called Elizabeth. She makes a choice that really goes against her character. They give you a very loose reasoning for why she did what she did, but it still doesn't match her character. In the DLC, they actually retcon it and fix it up to make it make a little more sense why she made a choice she did. So the DLC fixes a little bit of stuff. It still leaves a little bit of stuff unanswered, but it does fix some stuff. So I would play the DLC first and then come back and then tell me what you honestly think. And of course, the DLC is 2 parts: the Burial at Sea 1 and 2. The first part you play as Booker DeWitt, and the second chapter you play as Elizabeth. You call out in the hope anyone might be there. Maybe some squatters, but just like outside, there's no signs of life at all in the hotel. You walk up to the reception. The counter is as dusty as you would expect, and there are pens and yellow pieces of paper strewn about. It seems whoever was here left this place in a hurry, who knows how many years ago. There's a door behind the reception desk, which leads you to a small but dignified office that seems to have been left under a similar state of hurry. There are even portraits on the table showing black and white pictures of a smiling family. See, this is an issue I have. I'm so sorry, everyone. I hope I'm really not distracted too much from the VN, because I really am enjoying this. When I'm writing, I have trouble describing places without going too much into detail. This seems like a reasonable way to go into detail without going too far off topic. My biggest issue when I write is that I've been told, for the few people who actually really review it, is that I explain stuff in the wrong places too much. And I'm like, that's something I'm trying to work on, because even my VN, I have a little prologue done. If anybody, honestly, dead serious, if anybody's interested, take a look at the prologue. It's still the first draft, and I still have to fix some issues. Feel free to ask me, I'll send it to you. I'm more than willing to send it. Even with the VN I'm writing, I was explaining that I'm describing stuff too much, and this is me working hard to make sure I did describe stuff too much. So it's like, I don't know why, I just have issue, I always feel like I have to describe everything to people. On the corner of the room, there's a rusted safe. Which one should you investigate? This part I did play. It doesn't matter, you have to investigate both, so we're gonna do the desk first. On the desk is a ledger. Like everything else in the hotel, its pages are yellowed and wrinkly, but it's still readable. It contains a list of guests, their respective rooms, check-in and check-out dates, signatures, and so on. The last guest arrived back in 1944. To be more precise, someone attempted to check in on that date, but was interrupted in the process. All the following pages in the ledger are blank. 1944. Something's gonna happen. You find a second leather-bound ledger as well. This one has staff written on it in flaking gold paint. It lists all the employees in the hotel during 1944, their country of origin, role, and a few have a star scribbled beside their name. This place employed quite a number of people. More than 50, in fact. There doesn't seem to be anything else you can deduce from this ledger. Which one should you... Alright, so now we'll check this. So, apparently the last person that tried to check in was in 1944. It's one of the old-timey safes you see in movies from the 90s, with the spinning dial and all. You can prepare yourself to try and crack the password. Except, it's already unlocked. All about Rusty. Time to brush up. I know a little bit about Greek mythology. I think I took a high school class and a college class, but it's been since I've been in college for like 5 years. Probably forgot a lot of it. I also used to have a Kindle and I had a book of Greek mythology on there. There's only a stash of booklets inside of it. 4 passports, all from different countries. Unsurprisingly, they're all expired. There doesn't seem to be anything special about them. But it's strange that someone would keep passports in their office like this. Each NPC is an embodiment. Oh boy. Oh boy, that's gonna be interesting. Well, right now we're doing safe for work, so we're not gonna get to see anything anyway. You take a moment to go over the ledgers and passports. Wait a minute, actually, at the current build of this game, are there NSFW scenes already or not yet? A curiosity glance reveals a pattern. The passports are from the 4 employees with stars beside their names. You take them with you and leave the ledger on the table. Yeah, that's fun. I know how. Take your time. This is gonna be. I'll be streaming probably for almost 3 hours. So, like, if people have to leave, people have to leave. I don't mind. This is just at the end of the day. This is just for fun. So, I'm not begging for the views. You return to the reception and continue looking around. Up ahead is a tall spiral staircase going back up and down. There are multiple passages branching out from the lobby. You take one of the hallways leading down to the bedrooms and find all the doors unlocked. Much like the lobby, the bedroom's rotting walls were consumed by time. Walking into them disturbed the fine mist of stagnant spores and dust, which was turned into a curtain of diamonds by the sun shining through the windows. Each bedroom was equipped with at least one king-sized bed. The springs were busted more often than not, and the fabric yellowed. But not even such desolation could hide the past glory of this place. You return back to the hallway, which seemed to stretch forever forward. From outside, the hotel had looked big, but not nearly spiraling enough to have a ground floor of over 100 bedrooms. No matter how many twists and turns you took, the hallway never wrapped back into itself. Backtracking all the way back to the lobby was the only option. The spiral staircase seemed much more inviting than wandering the seemingly endless hallways. Yeah, no, I was asking him. Weirdo, he's fine. I was just because he gave me kind of a forewarning earlier. That's why I put it on. If it wasn't for the way YouTube's been lately, I would have left it alone and just censored it myself to get you a little glimpse of what's going on. But because YouTube has been so strict, and not just with me, like famous furry YouTubers and whatnot have actually been getting like in trouble, as well as other VN players. So I'd rather be safe than sorry. I'd rather you get a glimpse of stuff I'd rather you get the main story just going on than getting my whole 2-3 hour stream taken down because there's one little scene. It's why extracurricular activities has been on hold for right now, because I kept getting those videos taken down. Over the staircase, all the way up, there was a skylight draping the sun's warmth over your shoulders. It was a lighthouse, guiding travelers to this once majestic hotel. This looks beautiful, by the way. A quick question: are the backgrounds like pictures that were edited, or are they all like drawn backgrounds, or is it mixed? Like some of them are drawn and some of them are like edited. The way down was as ominous as the skylight was graceful. The marble handrails were lined with burnt-out lamps. It was impossible to see much in the darkness down below. The second floor was mostly bedrooms, again. But here, the outer hallways were lined with spiraling windows showing a courtyard beyond the hotel, close to the cliff's edge. Ooh. I am getting some heavy Greek vibes from this. Stuff's gonna go down, I can tell. It was a sight to behold. While the hotel was consumed by time, the garden outside had flourished. It was a field brimming with white flowers swaying in this wretched desert's wind. At the center was a statue of a man and a dog. The flowers rose up to the man's knees, and only the top of the dog's head could be seen. Okay, okay. Thank you for answering my question so much, Nanoff. I really hope that yeah, I was gonna say this one is clearly drawn. I really hope I'm not interrupting you too much. I'm not trying to ask too many questions, but like I said, while I enjoy playing these visual novels, part of the reason I play them is to get a better understanding of visual novel creation as a whole and to help promote it into my own visual novel. Like, granted, my visual novel is not supernatural, but it's still nice. Like, I still could take inspiration from the well written dialogue, the well written context of the story, as well as, you know, other minor stuff like the user interface and the art. So every visual novel I play is a learning experience for me to some degree. Even if it's a bad one, I still learn something from it to say, this is what you don't do. No offense to Lagoon Lounge. Lagoon Lounge was a big example of story romance, which I was like, this is what I want to not do in my own visual novel. Despite me liking a few things in there, the romance was not one of them. The man's hand was outstretched as if beckoning the flowers to grow taller and for people to approach. The garden seemed a more inviting adventure. You descended back down the marble staircase, brimming with clarity, and it felt like a cloak, or a hug, was draped over your back. You took the hallway leading further towards the hotel's back, and a single turn to the right brought you to a vast room. Right beside its entrance was a bar, and to the left, tables, couches, and reclining chairs. Further left, there was a tall window of stained glass, like the ones in the cathedral, and through a glass door beside this window was the garden. And like I said, meeting all of you wonderful people, and meeting all of you, you know, aspiring visual novel creators and not only inspiring but visual novels creators, is just a bonus. I love meeting all of you. I love learning as much as I can from people, so much. So like I said, now oh boy, the wind blowing. Isn't that like half of Greek mythology though? Tragedies. Whenever you get a pick for a background, make your copyright. If it's clear, if it's under Creative Commons, you need to. Okay, thank you so much for that, Nanoff. That actually is very, very, very helpful. That is actually very good to know. Because right now I have to check the source. I think the source for all of my stuff was okay, but yeah. The wind blowing through the garden sent out a long, continuous whistle. From this low angle, the statue seemed like a king, tall yet humble, beckoning his dear subjects. The flowers swayed back and forth in the singing wind, and the dog's head was barely visible above them. Its ears were perked up, and its tongue lolled out from its grinning mouth. The dog is Cerberus, I can already tell. So wait a minute, the dog's Cerberus, does that mean the statue is of Hades? The god of the underworld? Beyond the statue, beyond the courtyard, was a railing overlooking the drop into the valley below. As you walked around the statue, you noticed out of the corner of your eye that the dog seemed to have turned its head to follow you. Oh gosh. You looked back. The dog statue hadn't budged. I thought right there that the statue was actually one of the heads were gonna actually turn around. I was about to be like, oh, shit's about to get real now. This dog statue hadn't budged. I'm just waiting for something to happen. Like, this is a really good atmosphere. Like, what's going on right now, like, just to give to the creators and the writers right now, this is excellent atmosphere. Nothing major has happened. It's like a nice slow burn. Like, it's slowly building up, and it's making me tense. I'm actually like, when's something gonna happen? What's gonna happen? But instead, it was gazing right at you. You parted the flowers and walked up to it, and that's when you noticed the dog had 3 heads, one staring forward and one looking off to either side. It's Cerberus. Or Kerberos, I think it's the proper tongue. All three of them exuded warmth. You petted one of its heads and noticed how worn the marble was. People have been petting him for a very long time. Then you made your way to the cliff's edge. Once more you were greeted by the valley. Straight down, far below, you could see the statue-lined cave exit. You could only wonder how vibrant this land must have been ages ago, when the valley's river still flowed. You go back inside into the vast room. It seems dark but intimate, now that your eyesight is used to the exterior's brightness. You can still notice the whistling coming from outside. You take a seat at the bar. This newfound darkness is smooth, soft as velvet. It's like being in a candlelit lounge. Behind the counter, the bottles of fine spirits are still half filled. They glimmer in exquisite browns, reds, and blues. This is how you portray mythology. As much as I love after school summoners, it does not even try to correlate its mythology with the story. At least not in a very coherent way. You close your eyes and imagine how this place was decades ago. The whistling shifts again. It turns into the hum of human life. Footsteps and breathing. Chairs being dragged. Cutlery and plates clinking. Laughter, whispers. People greeting each other from across different tables. People dressed so nicely. A barman in front of you, serving the finest drinks you can imagine. He knows your name and how you like it. Whether you're tired or brimming with life, he lends you an attentive ear. You open your eyes. You're back in the abandoned hotel, majestic and destroyed. One can understand why the old man wished to pass it on to someone who would care for it. You tap your jacket's breast pocket, making sure the crumbled parchment is still there. Even the yellowed stained paper exudes warmth now. You stand up and walk out. As you do, you notice a large purple stain on the floor behind the counter, and the glass shards of what used to be a wine bottle. You proceed further into the hotel. There's a lot to see still. All the way down the hallway, a set of sliding glass doors beckon you, but from afar, the difference is clear. The wallpaper is ripped and one of the doors is cracked. You step on something hard. A revolver bullet? Oh. You push the door to the side and are greeted by an even more chaotic sight. It's the hotel's restaurant. The tables are overturned and both chairs and plates lay broken on the floor. Anime either I'm fine with them trying than whether not trying at all, but the way that After School Summoners has a lot of mythological creatures, it's done so poorly. I honestly do. There's a difference between bending the rules and full just breaking the rules. After School Summoners with mythology, it's like, hey, we're just gonna break the book. Like the name's the only thing that the names are the only thing that relates to it. This right now, I haven't played enough and I haven't seen enough mythological creatures to understand, but I've heard many, many good things about it. Oh gosh, this looks, oh man. Are we gonna die? Because this looks like we're just walking to our death. It leads you past the pantry into the massive iron door of a gold room, which is locked from outside and boarded up. All around the kitchen, things are strewn about. There's even a pan on the stove with what must be fossilized food, and the sink is filled with dirty dishes. On a nearby counter is a revolver covered in thick dust, and you think back to the bullet in the hallway and the stain on the restaurant floor. The old man wasn't kidding when he said he wasn't a good person. You check your phone. Perhaps you'll need to call the police or a morgue, but there's no signal out here. You breathe in, preparing yourself for a terrible sight. The rusted door fights against your will, but stands no chance. And it's a shame, because I'm not trying to downgrade After School Summoners. I like the combat to an extent, and the story is interesting if you disregard the mythology, but it's just a shame because, like, I feel like you could have bended the mythology enough to make the story make sense, but they didn't even try. They were just like, yeah, we're just gonna add these random mythological creatures in here, and we're not even gonna try to have it correlate to the story. I wonder what revolver. I have no idea. I don't know anything about guns. I actually have always wanted to go. I always wanted to go to a fire range. I always have wanted to go to a fire range. I don't want to actually own a gun, but I wouldn't mind going to a fire range at least once and just seeing what it's like. Darkness pours out. So, the stench. Oh, there's a dead body. There's gonna be a dead body in here. The stench strikes first. It's the stagnant smell of blood and rot. It clings to your nose and mouth like a bitter oil. Before your eyes can adjust to the darkness, a second wave of stench hits. It's like a farm, too. The scent of dusty fur, maybe even hay, but cooped up in a hot, humid room for decades. And last but not least, stale shit and piss. This place has it all. The stench of 1,000 different deaths. The light pouring into the cold room shines on the floor in front of the doorway. Empty cans of soup and glasses of jam are strewn about over the trail of old blood. Whoever was locked in here didn't die quickly. The cold room extends into absolute darkness, a hallway in and out of itself. You proceed, scraping your shoes on the floor so you don't trip over the refuse. The entire floor is covered with discarded glasses and cans. Whatever scraps were left in them has long rotted, dried, and crumbled into dust. Both your footsteps and breathing echo. The overbearing humidity drapes across your back, and your breathing becomes agitated. The stench is stronger. Your sight finally adapts to... unknown, I think we're about to see a dead body. Your sight finally adapts to the dark. At what must be the cold room's far wall, you notice the faintest glimmer. Is he dead? Oh no, but his eye... Wait, are they... Oh, this is a minute... Oh gosh. Oh, is he gonna attack us? Oh, we're gonna die. Oh, are we gonna die? I don't want to die this soon. Whatever it is, it's slouched on the floor, motionless, as if it died where it stood after who knows how long locked here. A shy blue glimmer, however, flickers where its left eye ought to be. What do? I want to call the police, but if I remember correctly, he said there's no signal. So, I'm going to examine the court because he said there's no signal. We can't call the police. Boop him. Sir, I want to live. I don't want to die. Made me cry like... Sam, why did you cry like a baby in version 1? Alright, let's examine the corpse. I hope we don't die. Your eyesight is used to the dark now. The distant pillar of light bleeding from the doorway is enough to avoid tripping on the discarded glass. You crouch in front of the thing. It has a bull's head. You look around its neck, searching for a zipper or the edge of a mask, but there's none. It's covered in fur aside from the patches of sickly exposed skin. It has hooves instead of feet. Its horns could easily gore a person. Half of its skull is exposed. The bone still has a smattering of blood dust near the remaining flesh. Its left eye socket is empty, but something shines inside it. A blue emmer. The fur is coarse and unkempt, but can't hide how deathly thin this creature was. It died from starvation, not from whatever destroyed its face. I'm taking a guess and saying that the face is messed up because it got shot. That's where it got shot at. The bullet was because someone or something shot at it. That's enough. That's enough. You stand up and turn back to leave. As you do so, your rustling clothes and echoing footsteps break the curtain of silence. That's when you hear it. Breathing as faint as a moth's wings flap. Oh my gosh, it's alive. You look back to the corpse. The blue flame flickers at you. Its chest expands and contracts. You take a step forward and the spark follows you like an eye. What do? Oh, it's alive. I don't know. I'm not going to leave because we want to play the VN, but should I be quiet or call out? I'm going to call out. You set your gaze on the thing, trying to read its torn-off face. Can you understand me? It barely reacts to your voice at first. Your words slink to and crawl into its head, dig their way to its mind, and this twist until it wakes up. Like a butterfly coming out of its long sleep, the thing's remaining eye shifts back to life. It nods to you. Oh gosh. Oh, it's alive. Oh gosh. Somebody got messed up. What are you? I am the hotel's keeper and prisoner of the labyrinth. His voice is raspy, nearly a string of grunts. I think that's a good voice. Do you like that voice, or do you think I should change it to something else? I kind of think this, because I think that voice goes for this right now. His voice is... Oh, I'm a humanitarian. Oh, weirdo, you're right. So I have to make a lot of choices that mean I'm going to be kind. I didn't think about that. His voice is raspy, nearly a string of grunts booming through the room in contrast with its disheveled body. His remaining eye frowns. And you're the master now, which makes me your servant. Bound to your will, I cannot disobey your orders. The thing cradles its head between its arms. His voice comes out muffled.
If you wish to know what thing I am a hybrid monster. About my sorry state, the previous master did this to me.
Oh, so something happened, and that guy freaked out, shot at this thing. The guy freaked out, shot at this thing, which is why its face is messed up, and I guess just left it in here.
And as your servant, I shall answer the master's questions.
He remains with his face hidden for a while longer. When he does look up, he stares at the exit and not at you. He squints his eye and raises a deathly thin forearm over it. He scuttles an inch to the side so your shadow covers him. Oh boy. Alright, so we're obviously going to ask every question. Why were you locked here? It's not really nude though. It's just... No, I wasn't saying anything about being nude. I would just say like it's all messed up. Why were you locked here?
That is what the last master saw fit. He shot me, then commanded that I stay here, in this room. But as you can see, I am undying. It only hurt. I cannot be killed. I can only presume he expelled all the guests shortly after, and now the hotel must be in as sorry a state as I am. He locked the door as well, but his command was enough. I cannot disobey, so I had no way out. I am a prisoner after all.
You are the hotel's keeper? You are a prisoner, but you are also the hotel's keeper? His eye narrows and ears droop.
Yes, I was sentenced by the gods to spend eternity here. I did not fight my killer, and for such meekness I was condemned. The gods made this land, which they called the Labyrinth, to house me in my damnation. The master is meant to be my torturer, and to that end is given control over the land. But there was a master who believed the labyrinth could turn into a soothing place, and that I could tend to it. So by his will, I became the keeper. And by the god's ancient command, the labyrinth attracts those who are lost and have nowhere to go. They become our treasured guests.
I was wondering who comes here. Yes, Xavier, yes, I am streaming. This is a stream right now. He closed his eyes for a moment, lost in a daydream. Yeah, I figured that. Nivik, I figured that the last master was the old man that we saw. What about your life before you came here? What was it like?
Master Jean Maria told me it became a matter of legends. I was born from a queen who had an illicit affair with the white bull of the sea god Poseidon.
I was born from a queen who had a... What? Okay. It's Minotaur. Minotaur. I think it's Minotaur, not Minotaur. Or is it Minotaur? It's Minotaur. Ah! You're gonna get me confused. Let me stop.
I was raised in the court of King Minos, in Crete. He took me as his son, even if I was much worse than a bastard. But eventually my sister demanded I be sent away. Father Minos acquiesced. Mother spoke not, so they shipped me off to my first labyrinth alone, with just an axe for company. I stayed there for years. Until one day, the warrior Theseus came for my head in rebellion against father's reign. He was prepared to fight me, but I had nothing to live for, so instead he provided me with mercy. As you can see, the previous owner attempted the very same, but I cannot die. Not this time. I only lost some flesh.
As you can see,
the previous owner attempted the very same, but I can...
Oh wait, I just read that. And the hotel's guest, I think I left out. His eyes flickers madly. Alright, so this is straight Greek. He's from Greek mythology. Why did the previous master do this to you? The creature recoils, shrinking further into a fetal position.
Being a monster is reason enough for damnation, master. He chose to return the labyrinth to its original purpose, I presume.
His bony jaw opens and closes, chewing on nothing.
Does one need a reason to follow the will of the gods? It hardly matters. Regardless, I cannot die. His open wounds stand out as he speaks, alongside his badly flickering flame. They are glaring enough to be visible from afar, even in the darkness. How can I help you with your injuries? He exhales sharply at your words. His face sinks again between his legs. Master need not worry about me. I cannot die, and it stopped hurting a long time ago. A skull feels no pain. What truly hurts is thinking about our guests. For all this time, I've wondered what happened to them. I hope they found belongings elsewhere. Who lived here? What type of people used to consider this their home? Just about anyone in need. A fate saw fit for them to stumble here. Orphans and runaway children. Homeless wanderers chased by their pasts. Shell-shocked men seeking respite. Those who have no one else and no place to call home. Before the last master took over, the hotel belonged to a man who fought in the First Great War. Master Jean Maria. He saw fit to bring in those displaced by bloodshed. His voice felt... Yeah, that's a good point. I would take the gun too, but you do have a good point. That probably at this point in time, the guns have rusted. The guns probably... Or, you know, the bullets are probably useless at the very least. His voice falters for a moment, and you hear a little cracking. The hotel was glorious then. Master Jean Maria survived the First War, but not the Second, so his brother inherited the hotel and saw fit to enact his will against me. You pull the hotel's deed from your breast pocket. So it's this that makes me the new master? Correct. The ownership of the labyrinth is transferred to you. I always know who the current master is and his name. You asked all your questions. Another comes to mind now. What's your name? What's your name? He hesitates before answering. His burning eye shifts ever so slightly. The master holds the right to pick my name, but if it is your wish to know, the one I was given at birth is... Astrian. Did I say that right? Because I want to make sure I get the name right. Astrian? 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 Astrian. Astrian the Minotaur, adopted son to King Minoh of Crete. Astrian looks up to you as he speaks. Perhaps in the distant past, those words, adopted son to King of Minoh of Crete, brimmed with pride. But today, they drip with the nostalgic and hope of a man who for the first time in decades utters his own name. For a split second, his remaining eye reflects a strand of light from outside. He realizes then how tired, thirsty, and hungry he is. But it doesn't matter. After all, he cannot die. As a servant, his duty takes precedence. The Minotaur readjusts to a kneeling position. The cracking of his kneecaps bounces off the cold room's walls. He bows his head to you. The bond between jailer and prisoner is born from the deed, while that between master and servant is willfully chosen. Will master hear my oath of servitude? You raise an eyebrow at the skeletal Minotaur's gesture. You cannot muster a response. In your silence, the Minotaur gazes up to you. He starts shaking, barely able to hold his hands together. His lips tremble in anticipation. Master, the labyrinth was designed to torture me. The Minotaur's voice cracks. For the first time, you notice a tail thrashing behind him. The oath of servitude is what keeps it at bay. Please, master, allow me to recite it and take me into your service. You can only nod in response. With your authorization, he is able to proceed after a minute to bring himself together again. By the provisions under the statute of Joseph the Merciful, the prisoner Astrian pledges loyalty and servitude to the labyrinth's master. The prisoner is made keeper of the hotel above the valley and is bequeathed the power to realize the master's will. The master in turn binds the labyrinth, forbidding its malicious entities from leaving said valley. The realm was engineered to torture the prisoner, and indeed its mission shall be accomplished. The prisoner will carry the burden of servitude, but shall not suffer the labyrinth's wrath within the hotel's territory. The prisoner, shielded by his master's will, is made safe as long as his duty is fulfilled, under the terms of the statute. Astrian dares not look up to you. Once he finishes his oath, his silence is broken only by the drops of sweat dripping from his trembling face. Yeah, I would leave too. Like I would just be like, I'm leaving. This is a lot of information to take in at once. If you want anything from me, you'll have to explain things a little better. For starters, gods? Are you telling me gods are real? Yes, pardon me. I failed to consider the times. The gods, they are, or perhaps were, quite real. I cannot know for sure the specifics, but they seem to have disappeared. Back in my time, they were quite present among the lives of men, and more often than not, mortals were worse off for it. Ah, yes, Greek. Listen, if nobody knows Greek mythology, long story short, the gods fucked humans' lives up bad. They screwed their lives up bad. Just think about God of War. And Kratos like, I've had enough of these gods. I'm gonna kill them. I don't know how long I've been here, nor what changed since then, but from the stories I've heard, it seemed that most traces of the supernatural had vanished from the world of the living. Does that answer Master's question? Not completely. What were the gods like? Yeah, I know enough about Greek mythology to remember that. The Greek gods were huge. One of the best examples of that is Persephone and Hades. Persephone, let's just say, is the wife of Hades, unwilling wife of Hades. Heavy quotations on unwilling. It was rare for mortals to know them personally, but the consequences of infuriating them were plain to see. The pantheon was respected, but above all, feared. They were not merciful. You can see for yourself, they sentenced me here. This is a lot to take in, if I'm being honest. That Greek gods are real, or at least were, is kind of life-changing. Are all other gods real too? All others? I don't know. Weirdo, Zeus had more than a Zeus didn't have a relationship with just one mortal. He had a relationship with multiple mortals, and it always ended up being worse for the wives. He always ended up making the wives' lives living hell, especially because he already had a wife. Yeah, that would imply it's just one. Let's just say his wife was not too happy about his infidelity. Not at all. Best example of that being Hercules, or Hercules. All others, I don't know. I believe many of them were yes, but I can't know for sure as I do regarding the gods from my time. See, everyone, this is why I love doing these streams, because now we're getting in discussions about Greek mythology. Were there other Minotaurs? No, I was the only one. Never saw or heard of another Minotaur in all these centuries. There were other supernatural beings. That's putting it mildly, weirdo. Zeus was a playboy, is putting it mildly. There were other supernatural beings. A few have appeared in the hotel, here and there. Some were staff members, even. But they've grown so rare as of the last few centuries. But no Minotaurs. Why haven't I seen them elsewhere, then? Do they live in the woods, isolated from civilization? Back before I got locked here, they used disguises. They passed as regular humans by using a charm. But I wouldn't know if that is still what they do today. And this oath you were talking about, what does it mean? It's what protects me, my lord. There are creatures in the valley. They cannot harm me inside the hotel as long as I am under the master's service. The previous oath remained for as long as the hotel remained without a master. With your arrival, I have made vulnerable again. Please allow me into your service. Will Master Mark take Astrian as his servant under the terms of the statute?
We're gonna accept. Obviously, we don't have a choice.
Very well. Assuming you are speaking the truth, yes, I accept you as my servant. Your words bounce off the walls and slither their way out of the cold room. The light dripping from the door behind you falters. Your shadow draped over the Minotaur flickers and shifts slightly. The world itself shudders under your words and responds by slithering into a new shape around you. Astron still looks down, his frame now slouched further forward and no longer shaking. My gratefulness knows no bounds. I shall not disappoint. I may be in a sorry state now, but I'll be quick to recuperate. If Master so allows, I will take my leave. I need only take a trip to the infirmary to patch myself up. He raised his head ever so slightly, glancing at the doorway. I am still unable to leave the room until you command me otherwise. Offer to escort him or allow Astron to leave the room.
We are humanity, so I'm gonna escort him.
Undying as he may be, the Minotaur's body is atrophied. He won't go far on his own. You kneel down to his level. Despite the darkness, you can make out his scapulae and sagging skin.
See, there's a word I don't know.
Can you walk on your own? Astron averts his eye by looking down to his legs. Master ought not worry about me. I can make it to the infirmary on my own. I've been through worse.
How much worse have you been through? How much worse have you been through? This is pretty bad, and you've been through worse than this, buddy?
He won't look up to you. There's just a hint of pride in his voice.
Oh, I think we made, He's prideful. Alright, I'm gonna ask everyone here. Should we go 1 or 2? Should we just let Astron leave the room himself, or should we command him to let us help him? One or 2. Should we help him, or should we let him go on his own? He does seem like he's a little bit prideful. He does seem like he's a little bit prideful, but at the same time, he's in no good condition to go alone, I don't feel like. But again, I don't know what people think we should make.
The maze was originally made to torture him.
I know will probably be explained later. Oh, okay. People are getting interested with this one. I've got 2 for 1 and 2 for 2. Come on, everyone. I know there's more. I know there's people watching this. Come on, answer. 1 or 2. I don't know what the right choice is. I feel like this is a choice that is 2. Okay. Oh, I'm getting a few 2s. I'm getting more 2s than 1s. Alright, we're gonna go with number 2. Command him to let us help him.
I'm sorry, I can't allow that. You are in no condition to walk anywhere. You'll let me take you there. That's an order. He remains with his head bowed, looking at his kneecaps. He sighs deeply, shoulders slouching at the same time. When he speaks, he pronounces every syllable with a cold, sharp... Oh, he didn't like this. I obey. The Minotaur's skin and fur is deathly thin. He shouldn't be heavy. You could carry him, but that alone could hurt him. Can I find a wheelchair around here somewhere? The infirmary ought to have one. It's one of the rooms further down the corridor. You tell the Minotaur to wait there while you fetch it. Right as you're leaving the destroyed restaurant, your vision falters. For a fraction of a second, the world goes black. The infirmary turns out to be the door immediately after the restaurant. You find a rusty and slightly moldy wheelchair thrown in front of the door. It'll do. Astron waits where you've left him, although now he's back to curling up, his face covered by his arms. His single remaining ear flicks as you approach, but he says nothing, either in gratitude or protest. He's light as a child, certainly no more than 20 kilograms. He grunts and shudders under your contact. After helping him to the chair, you notice one of your hands is covered in dark red blood from touching his back. Ooh. As you make your way out of the cold room, you see his back is covered in horrific bed sores. With a sideways glance, he catches you staring. The light, however, seems to hurt him. He covers his eye with both hands. Wow. The infirmary is like looking into a period piece about the Second World War with an added layer of dust and rust. Much like the kitchen, it was evacuated in a hurry. There are clipboards drawn about, medication vials left half open, even a hypodermic needle still loaded with a sickly yellow liquid. Squinting his eye, Astron walks up to the drawers. He examines each one silent until... I want to make this a little bit smaller. Sorry, I just want to make this a little bit smaller. Okay. Squinting his eye, Astron walks up to the drawers. He examines each one, silent, until one of them reveals shards of green glass and a purple dried-out stain. The Minotaur slouches forward and sighs. He scrapes a finger in the drawer, trying to gather some of the purple dust, but it's no use. He continues looking around, and you do the same. All you find are dusty bandages, long-rotted medications, and deep in one of the drawers, a nearly empty bottle of wine. You hold it up against the window. There's just an inch of wine left. The cork is dried out and crumbling into dust. In this heat, it must have turned into vinegar already. You're about to put it back when you notice Astron's gaze following the bottle. He looks up briefly to your eyes, his face contorted into a pleading frown. I'm guessing this is something he's looking for. The Minotaur nods meekly. The wine heals me. He does not budge until you extend it to him. Only then does he bow. The Minotaur sits on one of the infirmary's beds. The cork crumbles to dust when he pulls it, leaving the bottle still clogged. We already decided to help him. We're gonna offer to help. You extend a hand to him. He switches from looking at his bottle held close against his chest to your hand. Begrudgingly, he returns it to you. There's just enough cork left for you to pull it out. You return the bottle to the Minotaur. His hands shake as he tries to pour a few drops of the wine into the palm of his hand. He places the bottle on the nightstand. The Minotaur dabs his finger into the wine, leaving a single drop nearly falling from it, and touches one of his wounds. He repeats the process again and again. A few drops fall on the bed. His face frowns bitterly. When his handful of wine is nearly gone, he rubs his still wet hand on his exposed skull. It's only been a few minutes, but you can already notice some of his wounds healing. What the hell? The Minotaur notices you watching. His lips, or what remains of them, curl into a proud half-smile. Yes, I can heal quickly, provided I have the wine for it. It is just a pity the full bottle I had stashed was broken.
What the hell? So, I'm curious, how does he do that? So apparently this wine heals him. This wine allows him to heal quickly. Astron reaches a hand to his back. He flinches as he grazes one of the bed sores. Offer to spread the wine. Let me help you with that. You can't see it. He droops his ears and the feet, knowing full well you are right. However, he extends the bottle back to you with a speed betraying his eagerness. His tail flicks to and fro behind him. I'm sorry, but who's the writer for this VN? Listen, I will pay you for lessons, because this is good writing. This is probably, hands down, I'm not saying the best VN I've ever played, at least not yet, but I can easily say this VN has the best build-up and atmosphere that I've played in a VN, hands down. Hands down. The slow build-up and the atmosphere coming from the writing is beautiful. It is perfect. It's not too slow where you're falling asleep, but it's not too fast. It's just a nice steady pace that slowly builds and builds up. Also, hello Xavier56, how are you doing? It's a nice slow build-up. It gives you enough that I'm like, all right, I'm interested. I want to know more. But it's not like to the point where it's like, it's not so much like exposition. It's a perfect blend of explaining stuff in context when it's needed. You dab a piece of... Oh, hold on. Oh, thank you, Koda. Sorry, somebody sent me a message on Discord. I was responding. You dab a piece of old gauze with the wine and get to work. The Minotaur's wounds have a black tinge to them. A dark oil seems to have accumulated on them, oozing down his back in clearly defined rivers. He flinches when the fabric touches his damaged skin, but pushes back against you at the same time. His wounds close quickly, in an almost unsettling speed. 5 minutes later, you've run out of wine, but it was enough to rid Astron of his most rigorous bed sores. He lays a hand on his skull.
I'll need a lot more wine for this.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, with due respect to the art, and again, please, nobody hate me when I say this. When I say I've seen better art, that doesn't mean the art is bad. It just means that based on VNs I played, I've seen better art. I think it is doable, as in I think the art is passable, slightly above passable, like a 6.5 out of 10. Don't hate me for saying that. But it does enough where I get the image of what I need to see visually. It's enough where I've seen what I need to know. The writing is what's making me think. I'm thinking like, I'm in this infirmary. I just met this crazy, I've just met this Minotaur. I'm starting to understand that these things are real, and I'm in shock, but at the same time, I'm trying to be a good person. It's good. It's good. Oh man, that's great writing. Oh, I gotta work on my writing. I'm gonna work on my writing today. I had a story I'm supposed to be finishing editing today, that I'm gonna finish today. This makes me, I gotta work on my writing. This is good. I would honestly pay the writers right now. I would literally pay the writers for writing lessons, because this is some good writing. This is how you do atmosphere. You ask if there's any other way you can help him. Astron has a shy curve on his lips when he looks up to you from the bed. His tail flicks to the left. To the right, he swings his hooves over the floor. Okay, sudden music change. When he speaks, his voice is grave. However, it rumbles with sobriety.
You've been too kind already, Master. It would be terribly unfitting of a keeper to impose a task upon his master, let alone as many as you've aided me with so far.
His one remaining eye is half closed.
Please, worry not about me.
He speaks then with a twinge of relief.
Unless Master has a task for me, I shall take some rest here and then wash myself. I am most unfitting now for a keeper of the hotel. Master need not worry.
Shouldn't you have some food first? What if you pass out in the bathroom?
That shall not be an issue. I can obtain sustenance now that you've accepted me into your service. The Master commands the labyrinth, and through the oath you have bequeathed me some of your power. I shall not go hungry again. There is much I can gladly teach you about the labyrinth, Master. It shall tend to your needs if you know how to lead it. Observe.
For half a second, it's as if the entire world blinks out around you, and your mind goes blank alongside it. Now Ashton has in his hands an overflowing bunch of grapes. And another thing about this writing, this is why I have to work on. It tells you a lot without a lot of words. My issue personally with my writing is I can tell you a lot, but I have to use a lot of. I tell you a lot of the stuff. I tell you a description of a character very well, and I tell you like the world and the setting. But I use a lot of words to also portray that. This is good at portraying a lot with a little bit of words, which is something I have to personally work on. Now Astron has in his hands an overflowing bunch of grapes.
Do you like grapes? I hope these are to your liking.
You hesitate before accepting food from him. Shouldn't he be the one eating first?
The Master eats first. Only then may the Keeper feed. Regardless, Master has been kind to me, and I would be happy to share with thee.
The Minotaur seems eager to have you taste the grapes. They're impossibly sweet, but you only take a few so he may start eating. He flicks his ears and tail at your enjoyment, then starts wolfing down the grapes. He barely looks up to you now. As soon as you run out of grapes, a new bunch appears on his hands, then a cup of water and more fruit still. When he does finally look up to you, he slows down and tries to clean his muzzle of all the juicy bits. His eyes betrays a tinge of self-consciousness.
I am sorry, I am more beast than I am man. Sometime it gets the better of me. I should not be so British around Master.
He almost seems to shrink down in front of you, trying to hide away. There is a shame painted clearly on his face over having required so much of your assistance. Perhaps this would be a good moment to let the Minotaur have some privacy. I'll let you have your rest. I'll come back to check on you later. Hello, fan of Eminem fan. Astrid interrupts his feeding frenzy to bow to you, dignified despite the juices running down his mouth and chest. I shall be presentable after washing up, master. Worry not about me. Offer to help him with the bath. I'm gonna ask you guys, personally, I don't think we should help him. I think we've helped him already so much that, because he's already, you can already say he's feeling like some kind of shame. So, 1 or 2. Should we help him with the bath? 1 or 2. We're only gonna do a minute. In the meantime, I'm gonna check something with my phone real quick while you guys vote. Alright, we got 1 for 2. Okay, so 2 for 2 and 1 for 1. We will do about another, the 30 seconds, I guess? And like I said, I am paying attention. I'm just using my phone right now. I'm trying to check something real quick. Another 30 seconds. Okay. One plus. Oh no! Oh, Lord Beerus is trying to get fancy with his godlike mind. 1 plus 1. Okay then, sir. All right, we're gonna go for 2 then. We're not gonna help him. I think we helped him enough. Very well. If you do need help, just yell. All right? I don't want you getting hurt, even if you can't die, as you say. Astron takes a good look at you. His dark eye glimmers softly under the infirmary's lights. There's almost a wetness to them. He breathes so slowly that as he gazes at you, tail flickering to and fro, he takes in every feature of your face, one at a time. Thank you for releasing me, master. His eye betrays his drowsiness. He bows to you and in doing so, nearly falls asleep. You tell him to get his rest. I will. You let him have his privacy. Chapter 2. Drink your sorrows away. We're going to keep going. I'm not stopping. I am so interested in this. I'm going to do about another hour and then I'll stop. We're going to do, or at least, we'll do about another hour before I stop. This is really good. I wish I would have played this sooner almost. I wish I would have played this sooner. This will definitely be something that I'll be streaming a lot. You're back in the ruined hotel. It stretches into the lobby and further into the hotel. Up ahead, something catches your eye. A leather-bound volume, not too different from the check-in register you found in the reception office, has been carelessly thrown on the floor. A curious look reveals most of its pages have been torn out, but the cover's backside contains something written in the same script from the deed. The glyphs shift and twist under your gaze, marching into place the harder you look. After a few minutes, however, it turns uncomfortable, as if your mind was being drilled by the paper. You take a seat at the lounge's bar, just a foot away from the green glass shards scattered about over the purple stain. You lose yourself in deciphering the script. 0 out of 10. Would not recommend drinking your sorrows away. Astrian sentence. Hereby the gods of Olympus sentence the prisoner Astrian to eternal damnation for his meekness and cowardice in the face of adversity. With this sentence, his prison is created, a labyrinth born out of the gods' accord.
The labyrinth shall welcome lost mortals with nowhere to go. Among them, a jailer will be picked to command and rewrite the realm. The jailer and the labyrinth's mission is to secure the prisoner's eternal torture. The jailer shall enjoy power and freedom to rewrite the labyrinth as to better enact his vision. Astrin of Kreti, adopted son to King Minos, and every drop of his blasphemous blood is hereby sentenced to the labyrinth. By this decree, the god's will is done.
So these really are the Greek gods. They're a bunch of assholes.
You obtain the ledger. The ledger lists your obtained items, guests, and additional information. Click the icon on the top right corner of the screen to open it. You're pulled from your trance by the bang of a door closing down the hallway. The light around you has shifted. You look back to the garden and the sun is already setting. Time passed in a flash, and now the clop of hooves on marble floor echoes through the corridor. The Minotaur enters the lounge, sees you, and bows.
We're gonna greet him, of course. We're gonna say, we're not gonna be an ass.
Hello, Astrin. Did you sleep well? I did, Master. I must thank you for allowing me rest. That's good to hear. I take it you have no issue with your bath?
Told you to study your Greek mythology. Yeah, I don't know if I want to study Greek mythology because the Greek gods sound like they're assholes right now. And yes, Jin, you are not wrong. They are sexy assholes. I will give you that much. Greek statues, the Greek paintings of them look great, but they're still assholes. They're like pretty much the Greek gods are like the Chads of Veronicas of the Chads of Veronicas of the past world. Of the ancient world. Dude, that's funny. Oh my gosh, I wish I could draw. Now I just want to draw a Zeus like it's like a football. I just want to draw a Zeus in like a freaking Leatherman jacket with like a hat. And he's like, come at me, bro. Come at me, bro. I gotta learn how to draw. That's a funny idea.
I did not. Astrid stands up and looks at you directly. I should ask for your forgiveness. I left you waiting without providing a tour of the hotel or its inner workings. That was awfully unfitting of my position as the hotel's keeper. I am at your disposal now, however. There are a few questions eating away at me, if you don't mind, but we can leave them for later if you aren't feeling well. I am well enough to fulfill my duty. What is it Master wishes to know? Well, to start off, how are you feeling? Well, I'll admit, I'm a little worried about you. How are you feeling? Was the shower enjoyable? The Minotaur shifts his gaze, trying to read your expression and tone, looking for a tinge of irony or perhaps malice. I am well. It was quite peculiar showering after all these years. I had forgotten what water felt like. It is fortunate that my wounds were closed. It could have been a painful affair otherwise. Yeah, I was just thinking about that. I was like, because if you've ever had like a cut and you shower and it's a bad cut, it hurts. It stings. You're like screaming. Because believe me, I still do to a degree, have skin issues, and I used to get like a lot of like, not getting really nasty, but like I used to have a lot of open sores and stuff. Ooh, that hurt when I would take a bath. For quite a while, I just stood there under the water, thinking and feeling. All of that is to say, yes, I am doing well. It is kind of you to ask. Is that all you wish to know? How did you make a food appear out of thin air? That's a big one. So, about the food. Back there, you just made food appear in your hands. It was like the whole world just blinked for a second. What exactly is going on? I am frightfully sorry, my lord. I failed to explain it ahead of time. This realm operates under very peculiar rules. It relates to the oath I swore. Contracts, oaths, promises, all manifestations of will from the master can be made to have binding effect. Laws in this land are self-enforcing, F-branded by the Lord's might. The oath I swore, it relates to one ancient piece of law, the statue of Joseph the Merciful. In one of its articles, it allows me to summon food. Under most circumstances, the swearing of the oath would have been a formal event, wherein I would have read the full statute, but the situation was dire indeed. I am sorry, my lord. As soon as possible, I shall present the statute for your consideration. Thanks. I don't like signing contracts I didn't read. But don't go overexerting yourself. I suppose this isn't a priority right now. Getting you patched up is more important. Still, that isn't exactly what I asked you about.
You can summon food because of the oath, but how can food be summoned like that in the first place? In other words, what kind of a place is this? The Minotaur's gaze goes to the floor, his hooves scrape against it. This realm was created to imprison me. The jailer's mission is to keep watch, and for that purpose the gods saw fit that matter could be spontaneously created. Lord Beerus, that's the reason I'm so focused on right now on the writing part is... Sorry. One of the reasons I'm so focused on the art part, on the writing part, is because my goal with my VN is, while it's not a fantasy-driven VN, it takes place in a modern world, and yes, there are anthropomorphic creatures, animals. I want to write something that feels grounded to an extent, though. I want it to feel grounded, and it's been hard because already when you add anthropomorphic animals to the mix, it's hard to be grounded. But the main focus of my VN is to have a grounded romance story. I want it to be that whoever you choose, whatever of the 4 people you choose, you are happy with. They each have something to give. I even have a very... I don't want to use the word gay because I don't want to seem like I'm being rude, but I have a very flamboyant, very promiscuous character. And even that character, I'm focusing heavily on saying, okay, they do act like this, but there's a reason they act like that. And as you go through the story, it's a character that you might not like at first, but if you stick with them and you keep playing, you'll start to understand this is why they act like that. This is why they're like that. I am worried about the art part, but I've been having trouble finding a artist to do the sprites for me, so I've been mainly just focused on the writing. I can't really draw that well. I am working on it, but I don't think the way it's going, if I don't release the VN until I can draw well enough for sprites, we're probably looking at about another year before I release anything. And by the end of this year, I do want to release a demo version, 0.1 or whatever I want to release, which that will be the prologue as well as day 1. So that's the reason why. I do think art is a big part to an extent of the visual novel process, though. It's just that me personally, I can't really focus on now because I've been having very little luck finding an artist to draw for me, an artist to make sprites for me, because I have a certain style I'm looking for, as well as just the fact that I have a budget. Believe me, there's a lot of artists I would love nothing more than to get sprites from, but I know getting something from them is going to go in the hundreds and hundreds of dollars for one character alone, and I just don't have that kind of money right now. Perhaps if the VN gets popular enough, then I can look into saying, alright, maybe I'll get a different artist. But that's pretty much why I'm so focused on the writing. That, and also the fact that I mainly write short stories in general. I have a lot of short stories I write. If anyone wants to see some of the stuff I've written, including side stories set in the visual novel of my visual novel world of Beastly, you can ask. I'm more than willing to post it up here. And I'm always willing to learn writing, and I'm always trying to learn art, so...
So the jailer's job would not be interrupted by petty things such as material limitations. It is as well the master's compensation. Being able to create whatever your heart desires out of thin air, that is quite a reward, wouldn't you say?
Wait, we can create anything? Wait, he said we create anything material. There has to be limitations to that, though. There has to be.
That's right. This is no small power. With some creativity, anyone can make a fortune off this place. Well, there are a few limitations. Mainly, the realm refused to make metals such as gold and silver in large quantities. But perhaps previous masters were quite creative, and that did not stop them from amassing fortunes of their own.
Why gold and silver? That's weird.
As keeper, it is my duty to instruct you on this matter. I can show you how to summon materials.
I appreciate that a lot, but we can leave that for later if it's complicated. I have more I'd like to discuss with you.
Very well. What is it Master wishes to know?
I'm wondering, is it gold and silver? Because back in the ancient time... Yeah, I was wondering that. That's a good question. Can we create wine to help him? I'm still a bit shaken up after learning Greek gods of real art were. There are a lot of implications to that, For example, I can assume there's an afterlife then?
Perhaps. I was sent to an afterlife after my death. It was called Hades.
Ah, Hades!
But that was back then, thousands of years ago. I know not what happened to the gods, or if their realm persists to this day. Neither do I know if other afterlife realms exist in the first place, although I do believe that is the case. I am aware, however, that the worship of the Olympians has long gone out of favor. If Master would entertain my curiosity, is it still so? No one worships them, no. It's a dead religion, that's for sure. Most you'll find is people studying it during classes, and some places do use the gods as symbols. The wine is special, it can't be created. Okay. Okay. Because I was wondering if it had to do with ancient times, because I know ancient times back then, gold and silver were extremely, extremely rare. Bronze was the go-to metal. Bronze was the go-to metal, and gold, like I said, gold and silver were not really common. But that, okay. Oh, okay, so that does relate. And also, dyes and spices can't be made either. Okay, so it does kind of sort of relate to what was common back then. Okay, I like that. I like that. I see. Then in this regard, nothing changed since I was locked away. There's something I want to know, however. You told me about the gods and other mythical beings. I want to know more about that, if you don't mind. Ah, I see. Yes, that is the question masters of previous times struggled with as well. Despite my thousands of years, I must admit I do not possess complete knowledge about the variety of mythical beings that exist. I know only of those that passed by this hotel, and of what they were kind enough to share with me. They used a charm to pass unnoticed as humans. It wasn't always like that. That custom began only a handful of centuries ago. When I was a child, there was no such thing. My true form was plain for everyone to see. And Father Minos made sure I was seen. Regardless, their charms never worked in this realm. You're not wrong. Also, I know, I don't think ancient times, but like I know like another thing, like nowadays, like being fat is seen as not, is not comely. But I know back in like British, I'm trying my best not to screw up with history. I know back in like Britain times during the King and Queen's era of Britain, that like actually like being fat was seen as a good thing because it showed that you had a lot of wealth, that you could eat a lot. So like stuff, customs change with time. Bright cloth nowadays doesn't mean that you're rich. Believe me, I should know. Regardless, their charms never worked in this realm. I do not know why, but it was always a constant. It was quite peculiar. Back then, humans and supernatural guests mingled together. It is always jarring at first, but after a while it becomes special. Humans are eager to learn about the unknown, and mythical beings yearn to live without a disguise. Now, back to the 20th century. They had taken to using what was the word again? It was a booklet they carried around. A passport? Yes, a passport. They would have it enchanted and keep it close always. It was inconspicuous. But they keep multiple charms with them, jewelry oftentimes, in case they were separated from their documents. I love how this visual novel playthrough has become us discussing ancient history. I love it, but see, that's why I like you guys so much, because you guys are so nice, and we have such good discussions. We always have stuff to talk about. It's so nice. I love you all. Oh, I love my Fallen Pact so much. I love him so much. I'm messing up my mic. Stop, cease and desist. I love my Fallen Pact so much. Did they make fake passports then? How was that? Oh, I don't think so. Yeah, we're learning stuff. I am sorry that I know not much about it, but I had the impression these booklets were issued by governments. As in, the governments made the enchanted passports. A few times I was told they had to be registered. It was quite common for mythical beings, even the staff, to be required to report back to their countries for bureaucratic affairs. Or for warfare. Master Jean Maria was not the only man we lost to the Great Wars. I didn't expect there to be bureaucracy around mystical... Yeah, wait a minute! So the governments knew about these? Indeed, it is a tad peculiar. But I would stress that all of this that I learned from previous guests, I never saw it for myself. Before I forget, I found these inside a safe near the reception. You gave Ashton the bundle of passports. Are these the enchanted passports? They don't seem anything out of the ordinary. The Minotaur looks over each of the passport. His brow furrows, and for a second, Oh, okay. For a second, it and his lower lip quivers. Yes, this is it. I recognize the names. These are the passports. Oh, cool. Let me see that. I'm kind of curious about that. I don't think I can look it up. It won't let me look at it, so maybe later. It's okay, Don. Welcome, Don, to the stream. It's okay. Not everybody is required to talk here. I'm not gonna make. Nobody is required to talk here. We're all here just to have a good time. If you don't feel like talking, that's perfectly fine. They hated these things. These were their shackles, which is why they were so eager to stay and work here, in a place where they did not have to hide their true forms. Yeah, I realized that. It's not only about their shape either. There is something else these passports did. It made them easy to forget and go unnoticed. Again, I never witnessed it for myself, but often I was told it was terribly difficult to make friends, establish relationships too, when your loved ones are prone to forgetting you ever existed. That sounds rough, to say the least. Theirs must be a lonely existence. Ashton sinks in thought as he flips over the passport's pages. He did not seem to hear you. When he closes the last one, his gaze returns to you with a somber look. That is, more somber than before. Does Master have more questions? Brazilian, Manchurian, Soviet, and Sweden. I think that's all I had in mind for now. This is a lot to take in. That gods and mystical creatures exist for starters, and that this place can just create matter out of thin air. Thanks for telling me all that. I'll just need some time to process it all. It is a pleasure to serve. Could I provide Master with a drink? Would that please you? He looks behind you to the wall covered by dozens of bottles of liquor. Well, I don't think those are safe. I checked a few of them. They weren't smelling right. That will not be an issue. I can muster more for Master. Very well, go on. The Minotaur walks behind the counter. The world blinks around you, and when you look again, he holds a bottle of whiskey. He walks in with a spring in his step, but stops once he sees the purple stain on the floor. Whatever smidgen of chirpiness was on his face is gone. He lowers himself to the floor and runs a hand over the dried out wine. He tries scraping the dust off the ground, then rubbing his hand on it, to no avail. What's on your mind? The Minotaur speaks without looking up at you. He went all the way. The previous master. Locking me away wasn't enough. He had to kick out all the guests and go as far as breaking the bottles. He knew the wine could heal me. I had one in the infirmary in case I got hurt and needed help, and one here for my enjoyment. I hope he didn't break the others as well. It is impossible to willfully summon more. The Minotaur rises up and supports himself on the counter. He summons a rag and goes through the motions of dusting. No matter. Now, what does Master's want? I should tell you up front, the hotel's liquor is quite impressive. Ask where I could find the wine, or ask where I could find the wine. Ashton may be up and walking, but he's still far from being well. He can use the help. You mentioned having more wine bottles. Where are they? I'm sure I can fetch them for you. Ashton looks off to the side, seemingly thinking about your proposal. It is not proper for the keeper to be assisted by the master. I suppose, however, it would be my duty to take you there regardless. Wine is pretty good. In all seriousness, I like alcohol, but I can control myself. I won't go crazy with it. I don't like beer. I don't like beer at all. I can't stand beer. If memory serves me well, there ought to be a bottle in the master's quarters. The two of you return to the hotel's lobby. The spiral staircase, now tinted orange by the sunlight, remains as welcoming as before. The fourth floor has no doors, however. Here, this floor is dedicated to the master and those he allows in. The hotel bends to the master's will. Wish for a door and it will be done. My power is similar to yours, albeit much weaker. In due time, the hotel shall conform from the ground up to your vision. It barely requires you to focus, just a passing thought is enough to make the hotel flicker in and out of reality. The door welcomes you. It flickers away after you when Astrian crosses his threshold. The living room ahead of you seems to have resisted the damage of time better than the rest of the hotel. It is dusty and some chunks of the wall show the beginnings of mold, but that is nothing compared to the devastation you saw in the kitchen. Astrian says nothing at first. His gaze seems to be lost in the distance as he walks around inspecting the room. There are lines of wooden carvings on shelves. During the Minotaur's silence, you take the chance to explore it yourself. The living room is a spiraling lounge made to receive guests, both in great number and for an intimate get-togethers. Under the sunset's light, the wooden floor colors the room with a soft, warm hue. There's a master bedroom with a vast closet still filled with clothes, none you'd use, however. It's a wardrobe pulled straight from the 30s, organized with a tireless devotion. There's also a large office, the kind you expect from an important executive. Sitting on the desk is a selection of finely decorated fountain pens and a stash of documents, for the most part written in delicate calligraphy. Most of the documents are signed by a Master Jean Maria, although a handful bear an illegible scribble for a signature. There's a finely furnished bathroom off in a tight hallway to the side of the living room. At the end of the corridor, after a sharp turn, there's a cramped, windowless chamber. It has a handful of remnants of the living room's warmth, albeit muted. The wood's color is faded. The ceiling is a meter lower. There's little to no furniture. There is, however, an estate bed that looks larger than your typical single. Beside it is a tiny chest of drawers with a handful of dusty poetry books piled on top alongside more wooden carvings. Of course the master gets the fancy room. It's like me. I get the biggest piece of meat, and all of you get the smaller piece of meat, because I'm the leader. Is allergic to sulfur. Allergic to sulfur. This room affords privacy, but little else. That's fine if you can't drink. Ashton is going over it when you arrive. He cradles every wooden carving in the room, examining them one by one. Many of the carvings depict bulls. He opens one of the books and a page marker falls from it. He looks down at it but doesn't bother picking it up. The Minotaur opens a small closet off to the side and takes out what seems to be a long piece of fabric. He smells it, or perhaps hugs it to his chest. His bony snout leaves a stain of blood dust on it. He sighs and shudders. The Minotaur looks back to you, acknowledging your presence for the first time since arriving here. I am frightfully sorry I was lost in thought. This floor is the master quarters. It contains your bedroom, office, living room, and other installations you wish to add. This room we are in, this was my bedroom. I serve the hotel, but of all else, I serve the master. It is often considered convenient to have me around, as I can cook and help the master however he sees fit. There were masters who had children, for instance. I would assist in tending to them, providing entertainment and play while the master rested. Master Jean Maria was a man of culture. He enjoyed having me play my lyre for him at night. The Minotaur's gaze wanders away. So what happened to him? The Minotaur's gaze wanders away again. His hands caress the wooden craving. Oh wait, that's right, he died. That's the one that died. The wine should be in the kitchen. The two of you go there. This time there's no purple stain on the floor or glass shards thrown about. The empty bottle is gingerly placed on the counter beside the sink. Astrid shrinks down again. At least he did not damage Master Jean Maria's carvings. Was that the last bottle? No, I have one last bottle stashed away, and I'm sure it must be intact. There's no way he learned about that one. It's all the way downstairs. All the way? About 30 floors down, yes. Worry not, Master, it's getting late already. I can prepare you a proper meal and dust off your quarters. You may rest for the night. I shall deal with this affair after you've gone to sleep. No, I can't let you do that. You're in no state to go up and down 30 flights of stairs. Tell me where to find the bottle. While I go down there, you can check over the quarters if you want to go over the previous master's belongings. For a single moment, you see Acker looking off to the side, pondering before giving his response. Very well. I obey. The 25th underground floor is much like this one, without doors. You may command the hall to reveal the way. It's where we stored things over the centuries. All the way down the corridor, there's a wall painting. The bottle should be in front of it. You answer with a thumbs up as you summon a door out. Once more, you're enveloped by sunlight draping from the sunlight. Your echoing footsteps have a sonority to them, a twinge of life in this abandoned hotel. Once you reach the ground floor, however, your path becomes darker. Your footstep nails down shy in front of an oppressive veil. Oh gosh. Look at these stairs! I'm gonna save you. The 25th floor cannot come soon enough. A plaque on the featureless wall greets you. The door flickers in front of you with a similar eagerness. The hallway extends far into the distance, its sides lined with all sorts of objects. Armor sets, furniture, statues. The music, by the way, is so great for this. Is every music that's in this so far, has this been like just stuff that you've gotten online that's like copyright free? Or is this stuff that's been created? I'm sorry, I'm completely with you, Fanable. I cannot do 30 floors of walking down them. I could do maybe like half of that and I'm like, alright, I gotta stop in an elevator. Armor sets, furniture, statues, treasure chests full of trinkets from all ages. Oh, what do you do? Alright, everyone, I'll ask you, one or two. Should we take a look at the room or should we just focus on getting the wine bottle? One or two. One or two. One or two. Wow, these are really good then for Creative Commons. I'm like, wow, really? Really well done job. Holy crap, I just reloaded the page. I just realized how many people are watching this. Oh god. I hope I'm not screwing this up for you guys. Wow, 15. This is the biggest we've ever had. I'm so happy. Oh, I'm having such fun with this. I'm loving this. I like this. I'm definitely. It's a shame there's no Patreon. I would honestly donate to the Patreon. This is really well done. I'm loving this so far. And the thing is, nothing's really happened for all intents and purposes, and I'm just like sucked in. Okay, never mind one. I have to go to 2-2. Okay, it looks like a tiebreaker. We're gonna do one. See ya, Hal. We're not gonna be streaming too much longer. I'm gonna do about another. We got another about like 40 minutes, and then I'm gonna probably end. We will do 2. Let me 1. As you reach the corridor's end, the objects take a sharp turn to what you expect from a museum on ancient Greece. Ooh. Well, one we went for anyway, so. There's the wall painting Astron told you about. Right in front of it is a sealed bottle of wine. It is covered in dust. Its label is faded. You obtained a wine bottle. Off to the side, there's a glass case containing a jagged purple rock in the vague shape of a double-headed axe head. It drips an oily, dark red liquid down the case. The goo has pulled into the case's bottom, wafting an unpleasant, bloody stench. The case is locked by an old padlock. You've got what you came here for. You make your way back upstairs. The setting sun's orange tones color the entire apartment. It turns the suspended dust in the air into thousands of sparkling diamonds. The previous master's carvings stare at you, wide-eyed and beckoning you further into the corridors. The smell of old dust seems so small compared to how sweetly the room welcomes you. If a place could ever be alive, and if it could ever be naked, this is it. The hotel itself embraces you, its intimacy laid bare. Nothing moves, and Astron is nowhere to be seen. Silence reigns, save for a faint hum of life. You leave the wine bottle on the living room table. You delve deeper into your quarters, and the hum grows louder and sharper. It's like breathing, ragged and pained. The dust visible under the sunlight shudders. The sound is coming from the office. Ashton standing over the desk, his back to you, sobbing. Your footsteps are not enough to make him aware of your presence. The Minotaur sobs again and again, each one coming from deeper inside of him. They begin meek, hardly more than a snort, but he lays his hands on the desk and curls forward. His vertebrae jut sharply from his deathly thin skin, made more obvious by how he hunches over. He spits out a sob from the depths of his lungs. The dam bursts. He breaks into wave after wave of grunts and half-muffled screams. What happened? He presses his face against the desk and claws at it, leaving his marks in the pristine wood until he falls to the ground, curled up like a child. He sees you then with his tear-drenched eye and ignores your presence. Master or not, you were too small. He curls further into himself, mouth covered by his hands as he lets out another muffled yell. The Minotaur's voice breaks midway through and he goes silent, even if his mouth is still locked in agony. But Astrian looks up to you, aware of your presence, and makes no effort to hide or cower. In fact, he tries to speak, but you can't understand his slurred words, only that his voice is a tone of welcoming. What happened? I'm guessing it's what happened, the events that happened to him. I mean, he was locked into a place for decades. You cross the gap separating the two of you one step at a time. Astrian's eye does not avert from you. You sit by his side, back to the desk, and only then his gaze drops down to the floor into further sobbing. You drape an arm over his shoulder and pull him to you. The Minotaur doubles down in his crying, now muffled by your shirt. His fingers dig into you. They hurt were he not so emancipated. You rub the back of his head and let the Minotaur go at his own pace. As the sun sits further, darkening the room, his crying grows quieter and more discreet as well. When all is dark except for the stars shining behind the window, Astrian's hands relax and he slouches fully onto your chest. He almost seems to be asleep, but you catch his eye looking up at you. Astrian's pacified, but you give him a few more minutes to make sure. His fingers dig at you one last time right as he sighs. You pat him on the back and help him up. He says nothing about what just happened, but accepts your hand, and when you leave the office, he stays close by your side. Back in the living room, you guide Astrian to the sofa. He sits without questioning, but accompanies you with his gaze as you open the wine bottle and bring it over to him. It was just where you said it'd be. Astrian caresses the bottle. Thank you. Cheers. Astrian forgoes using a glass entirely. He leans his head to the side so the wine doesn't drip from his exposed jawbone and drinks straight from the bottle. He savors the first gulp. He sighs, leaning his head back, and lets out a groan as his entire body relaxes. Then he returns to the bottle, this time drinking in earnest. From the corner of his eye, he looks at you. A tinge of shame spreads on his face as a drop or two of wine drip from his exposed jaw. It doesn't take long before his arm starts shaking. However, for the emancipated musketeer. I know what the word is. I can't say it. Musketeer holding the position for long is a challenge. Hold the bottle up for him. You stand up and help him hold the bottle up. It's like bottle feeding a calf. Alright, no, let's suggest you use a glass. You raise up a glass. Ashley takes the hint with a sideways smile. Once more, frightfully sorry, master. Sometimes the beast gets the best of me. Even with the glass, he wastes no time and drinks the entire contents of the bottle without stopping, going so far as to shake the bottle to get the last drops. Astrian leans back onto the sofa, a half-smile painted on his face. Thank you so much for the wine, master. I feel better already. It won't be long now before it starts taking effect. Don't mention it. It was nothing. Is that so? Master, if it is not imprudent of me, would you answer a few questions? Sure, I don't see how that could be a problem. I wish to know about the war. How did it end? War? Which war? The Second World War, the conflict between the Allies and the Axis. France was occupied. How did it end? Does France exist still? Yes, it does. France is doing fine. The Allies won the war. A lot of stuff happened since then. You briefly tell him France's history after the Second World War, especially the aftermath of the war. Oh, I'm so relieved to hear that. I spent all these years locked away thinking about it. Master Jean-Marie talked so many times about France. Paris this and that, but also about the countryside, the fields of lavender, The fragrances, the vineyards, all sorts of wine. Master Jean-Marie could never go a meal without a glass. He grew up in a village near Brodix. Yes, he always said his village's wine was the best, period. Master Jean-Marie fought in the Great War, too. He found his way to the hotel as a guest himself, a shell-shocked young man fresh off the battlefield. He inherited the deed from the previous master, and his rule of the hotel was a sight to behold. He was very kind, had a preference for bringing in victims of war. It wasn't easy caring for so many amputees and shell-shocked men, but it was worth it. He loved it here, but I suppose he loved France the most. I couldn't dissuade him from returning home to liberate his country. He died in 1944. I felt it right when it happened, felt the bullet going through my head in the middle of the night. 1 week later, the next master arrived. Jean-Marie left a will, giving the hotel's deed to his brother, Master Clement. Clement wasn't bad at first. He was very eager to please, to be of use to the guests, but there was something in him. A greed, I suppose. To merely be liked wasn't enough, you see. He and Master Jean-Marie differed greatly. Jean-Marie had a vision to bring comfort to those affected by war. Clement, on the other hand, didn't want to be liked, but worshipped. He had his eye on a guest, a woman who held his mind in the palm of her hand. I can only believe it went badly, and so he... Well, you saw what he did to me. The guests are gone, and the hotel has been left to rot. I had glimpsed the beginnings of madness in his eyes. I am no fool. It was clear he was no sane man, but I hoped he'd be harmless. I think we did meet him. I believe I met this Clement you speak of. He gave me the hotel's deed, talked a bit about himself, and said he squandered his one chance at something good. He's senile now, can barely talk right. He was looking for someone to take over the place because none of his kids would do it. When I checked the deed, it all seemed like gibberish, too. I can only believe he wasn't thinking right and gave me some used napkin. He said he had done some bad stuff during his life, but I never imagined it was as bad as what I saw here. Astrian's brow is furrowed and his eyes wander. He twiddles his thumbs while you speak. He's still alive then. He closes his eyes, wrinkling his visage in anger. Ooh. Astrian looks up to the ceiling. His voice is relaxed now, almost soothing, but it carries a spike of severity. Master, if once again you would accept it, may I ask a question? This one, however, may be out of place for me as keeper. You give him permission. The labyrinth was created to torture me as punishment for my crime, but over the years the human masters chose to impose a different will onto this realm. It began with a young man who took pity on me, and over the generations it became a haven for the lost. Each master had a vision for it. We had a good run, a few good centuries ever since we started, until, as you saw, Clement came along. I wish to know your intentions. This is awfully out of place for me. As prisoner, you are my captor, and I shall obey whatever your will may be. Nonetheless, I wish to have my imprudent question answered, if it isn't much. Is it your will to carry on with the hotel's mission, to offer sanctuary to those lost and with nowhere to go? I should let you know before you answer, that I am used to suffering. I've been through a lot worse than what you saw today. If your will is to torture me, like Master Clement then you need not pretend. However, you accepted my oath and took me into your service, and now you've treated me with kindness. I would believe, then, that you are not like him. So tell me, is it your wish to uphold the hotel's mission, to provide respite to those in need? Be it honest, if you will. My servitude to you remains regardless of your choice, as I have none myself. I wish to be a good master to the hotel and to you. I want the best for the hotel, but can I set you free? This one, I'm going to ask everybody. One or two. I keep asking. One or two. How do we want to answer this? I don't think we can set him free, but I don't know that. So, I'm one or two. I'll give you a minute to vote. Like I said, I'll give you a minute. If not, I'll make my decision.
Also, thank you so much to everybody who's watching me right now. I'm a little, I hope that I am holding up to your standards. This is probably the most that I've ever gotten anybody to watch on one of my streams, and I'm really happy. I'm really enjoying this, and I hope that everyone here is enjoying it. I really am trying with Astron's voice. I don't know how you guys feel about it. I kind of like it. I think it fits well with him. Okay, Astro can't be free, so one. If he can't be free, then we might as well just go 1. I'm just gonna go 1 then. I wasn't sure if he could or not. Okay. I didn't know what I was getting into when I accepted Clement's deed. A lot has happened in a single day, and I couldn't have imagined any of this from his ramblings. But, yes, I intend to uphold the hotel's mission now. I want to be a good master, to the hotel and to you. I'm not trying to trick you. By what you've told me, I'd have no reason to. Maybe it's hard for you to believe me right now, but I mean it. Ashton does not answer at first. Only his deep breathing cuts the room's silence. It's been so long. I don't know for how many years I was locked away. I must admit the mere thought of asking gives me chills. Master, can you imagine? For centuries I've been tending to this hotel. It was my mercy what saved me from torture and gave me purpose. It was hard work, and not all masters have been kind over the centuries, but it was wonderful nonetheless. I enjoyed every minute of it. And then Master Jean-Marie died. I could have done more to try and stop him. I should have. Then he came, Clement. I am used to pain, but I had grown accustomed to having people, a mission, a purpose. Being locked away didn't hurt half as much as having my guests kicked out. Today you freed me, took me into your service, and now you tell me you wish to be a good master, to the hotel and to me. Allow me to speak frankly. I am afraid of you. Terribly so. You are my jailer. Over the centuries I grew comfortable with enjoying my masters, but after Clement it's all come back to me. I am so afraid of what you can do to me and to the hotel. There's no choice but to obey your every command. I am so sorry for saying this. It is profoundly out of place for the keeper to address the master in such a way. I suppose that, even if I am afraid of you, I've lost my fear of pain and overstepping boundaries. All of that said, despite my fear, I find myself wanting to believe you. Astrid gets up from the sofa and walks up to you. Oh, I feel so bad because Astrid got really hurt by that guy. He was trapped here for decades, locked up, and he's unable to die. So like he's just starving, his body's decaying, and he can't die. Astrid gets up from the sofa and walks up to you. He's clearly tipsy, stumbling about as he approaches. The Minotaur kneels before you. I wish dearly for your words to be true. I am not offered choice in whether or not I shall obey you. I am a prisoner. But, if indeed your words are true, if your heart is truly set on being a good master, then I shall follow you, not out of duty, but out of want. And were I ever allowed true freedom, I would remain by your side. I swore to serve you, and now I swear to follow you, for as long as your word holds true. He looks up to you. The room is dark, lit only by moonlight coming through the window, but you can see a glimmer in the Minotaur's eye. Hug! Oh, hug Astrid! You pull him from his kneeling position into a hug. He is light, barely heavier than a child. In your arms, he is stiff and cold, but just as your hands stroke his back, he returns the gesture and rests his muzzle on your shoulder. He sniffles once, twice, and presses his face into your neck. Thank you, master. He breathes in deeply as if learning your scent. Night quickly settles. The hotel has no electricity, but you can do with candles. Your shadow and Astrid slither on the walls, trembling alongside the flickering flames. The master's quarters are filled with velvety sounds of life, breathing, footsteps, furniture creaking under you. From outside, a passerby would see this ruined hotel with a single candle-lit window. If he, perchance, tried exploring it, he'd only find unending hallways of black and white marble tiles echoing with the rustling of his clothes. He could seek out the comfort of this candle-lit room, but would never find it, locked away as it is behind a doorless wall. Silence drips back over the two of you. More often than not, Ashton is turned towards you, following with his gaze. Just when you realize how hungry you are, he summons a humble feast for you. Fruit, cheese, water,
even a regular bottle of wine. Oh, that sounds so good.
I don't know what it is, but cheese and wine just go. I think it is like an actual taste, a taste sensation. But cheese and wine and grapes. Oh, that sounds so good. I could go for that right now. A nice bottle of red wine. He turns his back to you, set the table. He stumbles a bit and a few apples roll off to the ground. You catch him giving you a sideways glance. His nostrils flare under his nervous breathing. Astrian sees his back broadens as he breathes in, and then his shoulders slouch forward with his exhale. He gazes back at you, as if trying to say something, and after a few seconds he returns to setting the table. His tail flicks behind him, perhaps even with some chirpiness. When dinner is ready, he presents it to you with a half smile on his lips. Your candlelit dinner is simple and uneventful. Any offer to have Astrid eat alongside you is brushed off with a shake of his head. It's a long, deliberate movement. His single ear whips to and fro beside his head. You ask him if there's any way to restore the hotel's electricity. There is, yes. We must light the hotel's hearth, and for that we must use a special object. It is a set of bronze mirrors that focus sunlight. It generates a pure flame. It will bring the entire hotel back to life. Shortly after, with nothing else to do for the night, the both of you find rest in your respective rooms. Hades' Voyage? Huh? It's not chapter 3. I've tasted cheese and crackers before. I've just never actually, and the good kind of cheese, the good kind of crackers. I've just never had, wine. Wine and cheese. The Minotaur Dreams. Before Athens and Sparta, there was Crete, where Zeus was born and raised. Wild goats left their cloven marks on its slope, carved out of cold magma from the age of the Titans. Its soil, rich and hard, bore the promise of prosperity. Crete was a cradle, safe and fertile for early mankind, as it was for Zeus, the first of the Olympians. His son, Minos I, made his way there and became its founder and king. When death came for him, Minos was made judge of the dead. His lineage bore many kings for Crete, the prosperous cradle of man. Okay, these are Astrian's dreams. There was another who carried the name of Minos, a man who made a pact with Poseidon, god of the sea. From the foamy waters, the Olympian sent a white bull to signal his favor, and in turn, the man promised to sacrifice it. This one track isn't CC. Okay. But Minos took for himself that which was meant for the gods. For his hubris, Poseidon cursed his household. His wife, Pasiphae, was struck with lust for the beast, and ordered the legendary craftsman Daedalus to craft a hollow heifer. Pasiphae took the bull's lurch and became pregnant with its child. So was born the Minotaur. Oh, okay, one of the devs of the VN Saint. That's another one I haven't played yet. I still need to play Santa Luca. Pasiphae's infamy survives. Crete fell in favor of Athens, which in turn was dragged away by Rome, which too was consumed by time. But Pasiphae's disgrace remains, much like the tale of the cannibal half-breed she birthed survives. But for the Minotaur, she was mom, and she called him Astrian, her starry-eyed son. He drank from her breast like any boy, and he played with his sibling even if his visage betrayed the sin which begot him. The Minotaur dreams of the vast field of white asphodel flowers where he'd go with his sister Eridyne, holding her fingers, but they would sit by a tree and he'd nap with his head on her thighs. Astrian dreams of Crete, the palace of Canosois where he was raised, and of his inescapable fate, the labyrinth crafted by Daedalus where he met his end. Before the first hairs of a beard would have sprouted were he fully human, he was carted off to a stone labyrinth deep within one of Crete's valleys. The exit was blocked off, and he was left only with an axe he could hardly raise. A decade passed before a visitor came. Astrian could no longer think. Language had escaped his mind altogether, so lonely he had become. See, if I knew how to mix music together, I would. I don't know how to do I do not know how to mix music at all, so that's definitely a no-no for me. I am trying to learn art, so that's one thing. His visitor, Theseus, had crossed the sea for the Minotaur's head. The hero expected a battle, but found only a beast deserving of mercy. Astrian did not reject the hero's pity. At last, he dreamed of the asphodel meadows,
It's a mercy. It's the end of his suffering, but he awakens to the labyrinth again. He jumps from dream to reflection. Masters Jean-Marie and Clement, the cold room, the new master, freedom from the darkness, food, and wine. What's discreet? You mean the music? I think Crete is a silent. Crete. Crete. Oh, Crete. Crete. How you say it? Crete? Not Crete. Crete. Astrid grasps the dusty sheets. It's been decades since he slept on a bed. He feels no bed sores on his back. Instead of the cold room stench, there is only the slightly moldy smell of his old room. His lips, half bowl, half skeletal, threaten to curl into a smile, but doubt eats away at him, churns in his stomach. The Minotaur unceremoniously rises and opens the closet. No matter what comes next, he must work. Work and then work some more. While he checks his garments, he mumbles an old poem from memory. You came and you did well to come. I longed for you and you brought fire to my heart which burns high for you. These old clothes don't fit him. The mirror makes it clear how much of a disgrace he is. The gaping, fleshless hole in the skull makes his ichor bubble and threaten to burst from his mouth. But he's less of a disgrace than he was the day before, and for the last 80 years, there is some mercy in that. He forces a half smile and goes out. Yeah, I definitely would like. That's another one. Santa Luca. It really did. It has like very bright neon colors for the little bit I've seen of it. As soon as he steps out, however, his ears flicks. He catches a distant tune, chirpy. One could even say joyous. It is faint but unmistakable. The smile disappears from his face. Chapter 3, The Foreman. I feel like stopping, but I want to keep going. I've been streaming for almost 3 hours. I want to stop, but I want to keep going. Also, Nanoff, sorry, I'm probably interrupting you from actually writing for the visual, Minotaur Hotel. I don't know. I saw some weird like pink background. Is that from Santa Luca, or am I thinking of another game? And is it the logo like really bright and pink? Am I thinking about another visual novel? Hold on, I'm curious now. Am I thinking about another visual novel? Oh wait, that's a real place? I didn't know Santa Luca was that's a real place. Oh, I did not know that. Okay, fair enough. Santa Luca is a real place. Santa Luca is a sovereign island country in the West Indies in the Eastern Caribbean Sea on the boundary with the Atlantic Ocean. Huh. See, you learn something new every day. Okay, that's an actual real place. I thought the name sounded really good. I'm looking it up right now. Please disregard me. I know I'm playing this, but I'm just looking. Yeah, the logo. Yeah, it's like I thought. Okay, it looks interesting. There's another Viet about it to play. Oops, sorry. Very pretty. Ico is another one I definitely plan on playing. I keep telling the creator I'm going to play that, and then I keep I have it downloaded. I just haven't played it. Yeah, I really want to. I want to stop because it's almost 3 hours, but I also I don't know. I might have to stop. I think 3 hours is long enough, right? I think we got to the good stuff. St. Lucie. Okay, so it's a place with a lot of play. You know, I really want to join a visual novel development team so badly. Because I'm just looking up that, and that's from a branch of a team.
And it's just like, it's like, I, because on one hand, I want to make my own visual novel, but on one hand, I want to make my own visual novel, but on another hand, I want more experience helping to create one. I just don't necessarily have any skill per se that VN creator might be interested in. Well, no, that's not true. That's not true. I mean, my writing's decent. I don't think it's terrible. I don't think it's great though. I think it's okay. I really do though. I would give anything to join a development team. I'd be like literally like the intern that's like, I've never worked on a VN before in my life. It's like I never worked on a VN before in my life, but I want to learn. Teach me your ways. Let me do all the grunt work. Lucia or Lucia. Oh, okay. I do think I am gonna stop. It's almost been 3 hours. I think we got a lot done today. Thank you so much for the support. I can tell people really, really enjoyed this, and I'm glad. R6? I might check that out. I will check that out. And yes, I'm going to be this person. If you guys are not interested, please completely feel free to ignore it. I do want to share some of my writing with you. Again, this is not for me to promote myself, but it also is for me to promote myself. Just if anybody who's a good writer and has the time, feel free to give me honest opinions. Like, I don't care, like, if you say this story is terrible. If you say the story is trash, if you say my stories are trash, fine, but please explain why they're trash. Don't just say, oh, they're trash, because I'm trying to learn. So, I'm gonna load it here. Because why not? Make it small, 30 minutes. Yeah, I definitely will. It was a lot of fun to have you here, Nanoff. Make a small 30-minute story, get the art, and learn how to Rinpy. Like I said, that's my take it. Like I said, if anybody wants to look at the stories and give me honest opinions of what they think and ideas, I do have three of the short stories on there are actually side stories for my VN world. Two of them are for one love interest, Lorenzo, who is the owner of the club that the MC ends up working for in the beginning of the visual novel I'm working on, and one is Freddie, who is a dancer at the club, who is also a romantic interest that I'm working on. But anyway, this was really, really fun. I really enjoyed this. Great writing. Yes, while the art is not great, it's good. And it does its job. And I'm very excited to see what more is going to happen. I should probably save before I forget. So I'm excited to see where this is going. I'm very interested in the lore. This game seems like, despite most of it having to do with Greek mythology, it seems like it has a well enough understanding of the lore that it's going for. So I'm excited to see where this is going. I'm not sure how much more is left. We spent about 3 hours playing this. I'm sure there's a lot more. But anyway, with all this being said, thank you so much to everyone who stopped by the stream to watch me. Thank you to both old and new people who have watched me. Please, again, like I say, if you have any, I'm going to start promoting myself a little more. Please, if you have any recommendations for stuff I could do, I am really eager to write, and I'm very eager to join the visual novel project. If you have any, I have heard of a VN called Stronger Bonds. I've heard, no, I haven't. No, not Stronger Bonds. I'm thinking about something else. No, I haven't heard about Stronger Bonds. But like I said, if you have any visual novels you're working on, some writing or something, please feel free to let me know. I really will do my best. I'm always trying to learn. If you even have writing tips for me, let me know. I really take writing very seriously. It's something that I've loved for years, and I wish I would have tried sooner to get more involved in it. But it's something I enjoy, and it's something I want to get better in. I'm always trying to learn about writing, and I'm always trying to learn about art too. Art or writing, I'm always trying to learn about. It's something that, you know, who knows how long it'll take me, but in the future, I really would like them to become valuable career options for me, because I really enjoy doing it that much. I enjoy making worlds, and I enjoy having people share the worlds with me. The only thing with my world is, while I do like a lot of fantasy, a lot of my stuff is usually very grounded, to an extent. But I do write fantasy too, so. But anyway, with all of that being said, again, like I said, thank you so much to all of my fans, both old and new, and any people that just stopped by just to see what all the hype was about. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to some of the Minotaur Hotel developers who stopped by the stream to watch me. It's very humbling and touching to see that you stopped by this little tiny YouTuber's channel, and I hope I didn't do too bad of a job for you guys. I really am enjoying what I'm seeing. I'm looking forward to seeing more. I can't wait till we keep going with this, and I definitely will be a VN we will be streaming a lot of. So, with that being said, this has been Fallenwolf. Ow! And you have been part of the Fallen Pack. I will see everyone next time. You take care of yourselves. Bye.